Hello.
Hi,
Welcome to the Rumble. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine, bud.
Oh, good. Good. Um, Title says it all, romance movies. So I guess we're going to talk about some of our favorite romance movies, maybe not all of them, but we got a batch. Ben Grimm loves stinks. I don't know if he's talking about the film or just in general. But welcome,
Maybe
Ben.
maybe he's talking about the song.
Maybe so. Shout out in the name of Schein. All right. Yeah. So And I don't have any fancy videos or anything, but I did put up some love lights.
Love lights.
I don't know what to call it. We're past Valentine's Day. They're reddish pink.
Maybe I should have gotten a red light bulb for in here. And
Well, I tried.
uh,
So let's bring on our entrant tonight.
all right,
Or unless you got anything else you wanna.
not really. Let's see who we got here.
Oh, hello.
Brandy Love. Yeah, that's right.
Hey, Orc.
How's it
Hi,
going?
bud.
Long
Orc,
time no see.
everybody. It has been. Glad you're back. Glad
Good to
you are
be here.
back. Yeah, we just all threw in a few or what we really enjoyed of romance movies or romantic movies. I think you thought of this, Kory, because like in the video stores back in the day, if there was a section that they didn't put these in drama, it would just say romance on the card at the video store
Yeah,
for that genre.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just shorter instead of having to type out romantic movies.
Well, and we thought about rom-coms, so some of those might be included. I know in my picks, because there are a few more that could fit in this category that I might even like better than the movies that I chose, but they either had more action in them than romance, or even just some other genre kind of
Well, there's
equally.
a I think there's a lot of movies that you can make a case for that have a romantic aspect to them that you could squeeze them into that category if you really wanted to.
Well, most drama and theatrics of any type has some sort of romanticism is what we called it. The theater. Well, I
Sorry,
mean,
Jess, you're the only actor here.
actor. I probably said something wrong there, so all the other real theater geeks are going to be like, yeah, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Oh well, it happens.
Well, anyway, so we got some picks. I don't know if I should start throwing them up and talking about them. Ben Grimm, exactly what all Hollywood elites call it. We call it love making. Wait. Anyway.
I thought they called it whoopee.
Whoopee.
Making whoopee. Okay, I lost you on that one.
I
You don't remember the old match game? I think it was the match game. Maybe it was
yeah.
Love Connection.
Wait, man. Oh yeah, the love connection is. And the
There
newly
was one. No, it was the Newlywed Game. That's what it was. They'd call it, instead of making love or having sex, it was making whoopee.
I think my red light's kind of. I don't know. I had that in my head, something like that. The newlywed game, or anyway. Our first movie. Let's see if I can.
Do you want to save honorable mentions for the end, or
Yeah, if I miss something in the poster, I only put down the ones you guys sent me in writing.
all
I
right?
don't have the poster to bring up for those. So just kind of going in order of what you sent me.
I sent you all mine in reverse order.
Well,
So, do you want to start off with one of Orc's or?
no, we'll save. Well, I'll throw his in after a couple of ours. He's got a couple less.
Okay.
So I want to mix his up, make sure we don't just blow his load too soon. So our first one, I'm pulling up. This is a Kory pick.
Yes.
Can't Buy Me Love.
Yes, and actually, so on my list, I have this movie and Drive Me Crazy because they're the same damn movie.
Do you want me to just go ahead and give me a second? Because I don't think that. I get your comparison.
How do you not think that? They're the same damn movie. It's two people from opposite spectrums of the popularity chart that come together, make a deal, they fall in love, they don't realize it until after they broke up, and it's the same damn movie.
I don't really think it is. And I know I probably sound crazy.
Yeah.
But I think Drive Me Crazy is the better movie too.
But you can think that one's better than the other, but it's the same concept. It's the same movie.
I kind of. I mean, you could say that about a lot of movies. In this genre, especially.
Name another movie that's like that.
Well, not off the top of my head. I wasn't prepared, but maybe, been a few. Something's wrong here. Hold on. This movie, I do. I like this one. It would have made my honorable mention. It could have been on my list. I almost forgot about this. It's a fun movie, fun romantic comedy.
Well, any movie that stars Vinny Chase isn't too bad. So,
yeah. Well, and you got Melissa Joan Hart.
Yeah, I kind of got burned out on her.
I mean, she hasn't been overly used.
No, not recently, no. But there was a pretty good stretch there where she was doing like ABC Family movies, and she had a show with Joey Lawrence, and then was it Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and Orc, have you seen either of those movies? No?
No, I have not. The majority of the movies that will be mentioned tonight, I probably haven't seen, but a lot of them I do want to see. I just haven't had the time. If it's been like watch like Sleepless in Seattle or some shit, or watch like Friday the 13th Part 4 for the 90 millionth time, you know what I'm doing. Or at this point in my life, like I'm 36, so not too far up there, but not too young either. So I'm trying to watch movies that I haven't seen yet, even though like instead of rewatching ones that I like or I'm familiar with, or movies. But it's the same with movies that I might not like I'm not really gonna watch Twilight, just
I don't
because.
blame you.
Yeah, I can't.
The older you get, you find yourself of not forcing as much. Like, oh, I've got to finish this movie, or I've just got to see this movie to see this movie.
Yeah.
But I do hope we inspire you with some of these choices to give them a chance if they sound the least bit interesting. Because some of these, I'll even say it. Chick flicks is another word for it, and there ain't nothing wrong with that. That they're really good movies. They're fun movies, even for a guy to watch. So,
hey, I have no problems admitting that occasionally I'll go upstairs and my wife will be watching Hallmark, and I'll sit down with her. Next thing I know, we're 3 movies in, and
yeah. Oh wait.
But yeah, anyway, you pulled up Can't Buy Me Love. I didn't really talk too much about it, but it's a fun movie. It's a movie that I remember getting shown on USA a lot, especially over the weekends. So if there was really nothing else on, my family didn't have a ton of money, so could afford basic cable. USA was usually played some fairly decent movies, so it's one of those movies that kind of brings back memories of being a teenager or a young kid and just being able to just sit in front of the TV and watch something that was more my speed at the time than what my parents were watching.
I've got
And they
nothing
make
really
a reference
profound to say
to
about
the
him.
University of Iowa.
Okay.
Oh, looks like we've got a late entrant here.
Lieutenant
Mr.
Dan.
Dan Schein.
What's up, guys? Sorry, busy
Oh, you're
day.
good.
Well done.
I didn't do as much homework as I should have because I thought for some reason you were doing Psycho, which I guess you could qualify, I suppose. But
That's I'm just gonna say it. I won't. That's coming up soon on the channel. So
okay. Well, sorry to spoil that then, but I have some,
no.
I've got.
I
Some
didn't even know we had told you, so we probably said it on here and just
You brought on the most romantic dude on YouTube, Orc. So
Yeah,
he's the panty dropper, as we call him. So
Yep.
he brought his
They
love
used
here
to call me
tonight.
Romantic Don back in high school.
there you
Back
go.
to back, rival high school, dating the hottest chick in the school.
Fuck
There you go.
yeah,
There you
Orc.
go.
There you go.
Yes.
Well,
So sorry, I missed the beginning, but
That's all right. You haven't missed much.
okay.
Jess and I were arguing over whether the movie Can't Buy Me Love and Drive Me Crazy are basically the same movie or not. And that's about it, really.
Okay.
see, I was saying the same thing. We'll get back to Ben Grimm's got his top 5 up there.
Nice. Can't Buy Me Love's been a minute, but I do like that movie.
I'm not a Beatles fan either, so I could do without the song, but I enjoy the movie.
Oh damn it! You just made me realize I forgot one of them. While You Were Sleeping was going to be on my list and somehow got bumped. I'm kind of upset about that, and I almost want to rethink my life. But he's got some good choices there.
Yeah.
But yes, I agree with. He said Princess Bride is also in his top 5, but
Yeah. I assume you're going cross genre, not just rom-com.
no, not just rom-com. We thought about just doing rom-com, but it's romance of all type.
Okay.
Anything romantic, and we can have some rom-coms in there. You can have some whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you want to shoot me a few, Dan,
Absolutely.
up to 5, I'll try to work some posters.
Okay, do you
in
want me to send you, like, you mean privately?
your list? Yeah, and I can work some
Okay.
hopefully in.
I will send you the IMDb links. How about that?
Alrighty.
Um,
So, yeah.
I think we're good on those. Don't you?
Yeah.
Let's go to one with. Sorry. As again, fuck you, StreamYard. I have now made it more difficult for me to.
That's not very romantic, Jess.
Here
Jess Graham.
we go. I got to click back and forth now, and just to get poster up. Dirty Dancing. Now, the interesting thing about this for me is I avoided this movie for years. Almost, over a decade at least. I'd seen mother's friends or sister's friends, something. People talking about it. It never sounded that great to me. I
Thought it
didn't
was
watch
about strippers.
you know, just not good. And I watched it the first time with my now wife. It's been over 10 years ago since I first watched it, and I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it. And I've watched it a couple times since.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
This is my wife's favorite movie of all time. So when we first started dating, she told me that she actually wore out the VHS copy she had of it.
it's
So
Damn.
got some great music, great dancing, obviously.
I love the soundtrack to this.
Yeah. And the storyline's pretty solid and keeps your focus.
Yeah, it's not a bad movie. I think I waited a long time too, and I watched like that and Flashdance back to back.
I think it's better than Flashdance. I think I've only seen Flashdance like once that I can recall. Yeah, one again. I hope we inspire any of you to, if one of these sounds least bit interesting, give it a shot.
Absolutely.
Kory's top 5: S'mores and Doors, Lost in Translation, Notting Hill, Pretty Woman, Music and Lyrics is another good one.
That's
Hugh Grant,
Hugh
right?
Grant, right?
And is it Drew
It's,
Barrymore?
yeah, I think so. I've only seen that one once, so I couldn't really tell you.
It's another one. Amanda at Mrs. Channel introduced me to. I enjoyed it. Yeah, I'm really sad. Those could have been on my list. While You Were Sleeping should have been. I almost wanted to bring up the poster, but I'm not going to. Bill Pullman. Great cast all around. I'm blanking on Sandra Bullock. Just a whole bunch of great actors in that movie, and I saw it in theaters as a young teenager and wanted to go see it and liked it then.
It's definitely not on my list, but I remember being one of 3 guys in a packed house for Kate and Leopold, and the other 2 dudes I think were together. So it was just me and my brother's wife seeing that movie, and it was interesting. Tried to pick up a girl with an English accent. It didn't work.
Hey, Cole.
What's up, Cole?
What up, Cole?
Kate and
Dan has
Leopold, you
seen
said?
everything.
Was that a Dan pick?
No, it's not a pick. That's
Okay.
just like a story.
Okay.
I'm out of my I'm out of my area of expertise here, but I have some unconventional picks, I think.
Okay, well,
that's half the fun of it too, Dan, is being out of your element.
No, that is fun. Somebody asked me to do a show on anime, and I'm like, that's one thing I don't know that well, but I will do my homework.
That's one thing I'm trying to get into, anime and then Studio Ghibli films. Like I'm trying so fucking hard to get into that kind of stuff, but it's not exactly my type of like animation that I'm into, the style wise. Cole says he can jump in.
cool. I'll send him the link. Hold on. I was setting up the next poster.
Yeah, so I was talking some very different kinds of movies earlier, so I was cramming today.
Yeah, regain your focus. This isn't.
Yes, no, there's much less boobs and deviant sexuality in most of the movies that are going to be mentioned here tonight. No. Has anybody met? Well, I guess it's more comedy than romantic comedy, but I know Hugh Grant occupies a huge space in this genre. Did anybody bring up 9 Months? Because that one's actually pretty funny.
Oh, it's another great one. Saw that one in theaters. It got Hugh Grant, Tom Arnold,
Jeff
Julianne
Goldblum.
Moore, Jeff Goldblum, and his role is a totally amazing Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, not a pick, but yeah, once again.
Oh, that's another one that could have been on my list. Son of a bitch. 9 months, everybody, go see it. Robin Williams.
If you have a date and you're not a big rom-com person, 9 months was actually legitimately funny. Yeah. I think for you guys tonight, I think I got 3 that are horror adjacent, and then 2 kind of somewhat more traditional ones. Somewhat.
Well, what do we got next, Jess?
Since it was brought up in the chat, and this will allow me to get some other work done. This is a Kory pick, and maybe a pick of. It was a pick of Ben's in the chat.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But,
So I
Bride.
actually put mine in order, and this is my number 4. So I can't really go wrong with this. This has everything. So you want a romantic movie for you and your girlfriend or wife to sit down and watch, this is it. You want something that's got action, this has that. You want something that's got Andre the Giant, it's got that. So I think this movie pretty much covers everything.
Andre should have gotten the girl. He should have.
There you go.
Hey, Cole.
Yep. My camera's actually been working well for the last few days, so I thought I would
Old D Pro.
take it for a spin. I don't know. It spent months as like the most unstable thing ever. I couldn't bump it or move it, and I don't know. Anyway, so I'm just trying to take advantage of it while it lasts, because I know eventually it'll just go back to being terrible. But, what can you do? The Princess Bride.
I think that's probably on a lot of 80s kids lists for sure. Makes sense.
It's definitely, I like this movie, and I, of course, I've got my own moments and stories with it, but I do think, to me, it was overrated with them because I knew so many people who just love this movie.
How can you say
in the overrated?
Love this
too.
movie.
Billy Crystal is great in this movie.
It's a good.
Well, I am not
movie.
attacking the movie at all. I don't dislike it at all. I get what Jess said.
Yeah, that's why I'm here.
Like, I remember watching
this
it
movie.
at some point. I saw it at some point in my childhood, and it didn't make much of an impact. And then in my first year at college, I met a girl, and she was a year older than me. And like, she was like people of that generation. Like, she just loved the movie, and she was quoting it at me, and I didn't know it at the time. I couldn't remember it. She's like, "You don't know this movie?" And like, as an adult, sure, I've gotten familiar with it. I know the quotes and stuff. But yeah, so that's one of the things. It's like, I know I did see it as a kid, but it did not resonate. So that's one of the things.
I like the movie too. It's one of those ones though where it's just like, yeah, I like the movie. I don't want to watch it 100 times. Like anybody growing up, that one just like, it's good. I'm good though. I feel like I've seen it enough times for my life.
Can I get a real talk from anybody?
Real talk.
All right, quick shout out to Brian Trash. Brian! That's a lot of second B, sorry.
Classic.
Work. I'm doing
Real talks up in here.
Japan tonight.
Ooh.
Okay.
All right.
There you go.
Some tea.
I mean, I think that movie's lucky.
Dan?
I think that movie's lucky it came out when it did, because fantasy was still hanging on in the 80s. It was about to die a very quick death in the 90s, and then before, getting revived by Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. So if it came out like, 90, 91, I don't know if it would have done nearly as well.
Yeah, I think it was more of a legend guy, maybe. I don't know. Hell yeah, Ben. Melon flavored, Asian melon flavored.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and are you guys ready for the next one?
Yeah, let's
Absolutely.
bring it on.
I guess.
I'm bringing this up because I realized that this is an orc pick, but it is also on Dan Schein.
Also on my list.
Oh shit.
He's adding the poster, I think, which is what's screwing him.
I was gonna say I don't
Or-
see anything yet. There we go. There we go.
Ah,
Yeah, so this is on Dan's list and Orc's list.
okay.
Take the reins
It
to
might.
this one
It might be on
because
mine.
Yeah.
I saw this once when I was watching Kevin Smith's filmography, and I don't remember much of it. So you guys can go for it.
It was always a
I
tough
haven't
one
seen it in a
for
long
me.
time.
Yeah. It saved his career.
I
because
just
Mallrats-
recently watched the documentary about it. I watched Chasing Amy,
Yeah, me too.
which is about
Yeah.
somebody. I just watched that, so that's kind of funny. And I was thinking I should revisit the movie because I did like it back in the day.
It's a great doc. I mean, it's kind of about the director's journey.
Journey.
Of it. So yeah, it's
But-
not a.
but they
it's
make
not
it-
a
they-
movie doc per se.
Yeah, but they make a good point, like
Mhm.
about how if you're talking about like LGBTQ movies, queer cinema, there's obviously a lot better to pick from than some movie from like this straight guy from 1997. But people, we get exposed to what we get exposed to sort of when it happens, unless you're going out looking for it. There was a lot, there's a lot less of that stuff around. Plus, Kevin Smith has always been very honest about what he says. It is a movie from my point of view, which is quite ignorant about some of this stuff. And that's why he has, the character asking those kind of embarrassing questions like, so tell me about how sex like really mechanically works with you, lesbos, which is, really on the nose. But at the same time, I'm sure there were people that did appreciate it because even in the late 90s, people were kind of that clueless about that kind of stuff. So I like it from that. What's funny is I like the movie for the non-romantic stuff because I'll just say, also speaking of it coming out in 97, it's hard now, especially if you're younger, but for older people like us, we remember what the world was like before the internet changed everything. And this movie's a great glimpse into comic book culture right before like Comic-Cons became huge and movie stars got involved and everything was on there. So I like the movie from that because it's back when, because I'm just one of those gatekeeping asshole geeks, I guess. Or that's because I like geeky cool stuff before it went mainstream, and that's in the biggest one is definitely comics, right? Like I grew up reading comics. It was not cool to read comics. You certainly didn't tell like the girls in your high school class you read comics or anything.
Yeah,
like that, right?
you were still getting shoved in a locker for that. And 97, I mean, Buffy is just starting. We haven't had this big comic book movie surge that would come a few years later.
So the movie, this
yeah.
and Mallrats are both like great snapshots of like the comic book scene, sort of right before it would all change. So that's why I like the movie because Banky and Holden Banky are comic book artists, which I always thought was cool. There's not really movies about that even now, even though comics are bigger. There's not really movies where those are the main characters, and it's full of like little in jokes where he talks about how he's the inking. He's like, inking? You mean like tracing? You're a tracer, I like that. So I mean, there is the romantic side to it, and I get how it's problematic and weird because it's like, did you just flip a lesbian? Is that what you're saying? You can flip lesbians? Yeah. It's like, well, I don't know, maybe not through nuance, but I mean, I like it for the other stuff, really.
Yeah.
There's just so much cool stuff in there.
Yeah.
I've always found the scene where they're actually the one. I haven't seen the movie in years, so I can't remember the name, but when
Ben Affleck or Jason Lee
asked the question, they're in the Q&A or whatever. It's towards the beginning of the movie. He asked, "What's a Nubian?"
Mm-hmm.
I always loved that scene. I thought it was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, again, now we think of it as a bigger movie. We, most of us at least all love Mallrats, but that movie was a huge flop. Yeah, if Chasing Amy didn't hit, like, that might have been it for Kevin Smith, especially back then. But I think it holds up well. It's a tough movie because I kind of lived a somewhat similar situation. So it's, it's kind of a tough one to watch, but I really love it. I revisited it after the Chasing Amy doc, which is fantastic. And I still think it holds up. It's just, you can make a strong argument for being his best movie, and I flop on that. I love Dogma, but it's in the conversation for sure.
Yeah, I relate to it. a lot too for not any of the broad strokes, but just smaller things. And he said, like, it had less to do with like his viewpoint of, say, being in love with a girl who's maybe gay or bi or whatever. And he just said, at the time it was hard for me to come to terms that I was dating a girl that just had a lot more experience than me. She'd, gone and done some wild stuff. And I sort of kind of felt that before too, like, where I felt like I was dating a girl that had dated more than me, knew more than me, and I felt like an idiot because of it, stuff like that, like way back in like my early 20s, whatever. So there's stuff like that. Plus, I mean, they're lucky. What is that actress's name?
Joey Lauren Adams.
I think that's just a really lucky casting. Now I get it. They knew her and he's dating her through the movie, like she'd been in Mallrats. But I just mean for like an actress who didn't have that in her life, she's more or less I guess identifies as straight. Like I thought she plays it really well, even if there is some weird misinformation in there. Like as they point out at the chasing Amy talk, where someone's like, "No, you don't want to do that with your hand" or something when they're talking about like fisting or something like that. Yeah, it's like, you don't want to go in like that.
No,
you'll. I like. Yeah, I was just gonna say, I like my favorite parts of the movie are not the romantic part, although I'm fine with that, and I do like his chasing Amy speech that Silent Bob gives and stuff like that. But yeah, I like it for the other stuff. I like the comic book stuff because it just reminds me of that era, and I think there's younger people, that were born after the movie, for Christ's sake, that don't really realize what the world was kind of like pre-internet when it comes to a lot of pop culture. And comics is one of those things that had gone from very niche, very geeky to a big, mainstream thing, billion-dollar franchises. But back then it was still, Dungeons and Dragons, more or less.
Yeah, no. And when the doc, I do highly recommend because it also talks a lot about the film scene at the time, Guinevere Turner and stuff like Go Fish and some of those things that were out there, but there wasn't a lot of it. So this was obviously the movie that obviously inspired a lot of people, including the director. So watch it even if you're not a big Chasing Amy fan. It's a good doc.
Cliff Booth, I just wanted to say I like the movie for getting Sarah Marshall, but this is the one part I don't like is that you see his dick.
Okay.
Is that Jason Segel?
Yeah.
That's not a dick I want to see. I'm not saying there's aren't dicks I could handle, but I don't want to see his. I really find him off-putting in many ways. But anyway, I've seen bits and pieces of that movie on TV, but not the whole thing.
All right, Jess, you got anything you want to add to Chasing Amy?
Well, it's Kevin Smith, and in his run of when he had a solid run of his first at least 5 films, sort of like it had his Tarantino with me, his era, because that was the independent film. I mean, a lot of those guys, it's inspired me at a pretty young age. From Clerks, I watched Clerks pretty early on and pretty young, when mostly older kids or older teens were watching his films like that. So Clerks, Mallrats. I love Dogma. That might be my favorite Kevin Smith movie as well. Jay and
Picking
Silent
it his
Bob.
own movie. How ballsy is that?
Yeah.
I wish I had that Blu-ray so bad.
It's coming out.
And on the romantic side of thing, I know he does when he's like professing his love to her. He does have a line that's something like, "You're everything I've ever wanted," like in another human being or something. And I'm sure I subconsciously stole that for a speech to a girl at least once in my life. I seem to remember playing back. I'm like, did I steal that from Chasing Amy? God, I suck. It's a good line. It's better than "You complete me." Fuck, that's a lame line. Sorry.
I'm sure it's worth
fine.
I agree.
All right, Jess. I think we're ready to move on to the next one.
We're going to move on, but I just wanted to flash these real quick. It was brought up.
Kids under 18,
it
close
was really
your eyes.
eating at me because now 2 of my picks. No. I wanted to almost replace it with 2 of my picks. I like that movie. 9 months, go see it. It's probably better than at least 2 of my picks that I ended up having on here.
Who was the actress in that?
Julianne Moore.
Oh,
Julianne Moore.
Yeah.
Wait, what are we talking about? I didn't see whatever it was.
9
months.
Hugh Grant.
Oh, I
Robin
saw that
Williams,
once. I don't really remember.
Jeff
I know what it is. I
Goldblum,
don't remember it. I remember
Tom Arnold,
I know what
my
it is,
old
but I don't remember. See, I wouldn't even
nemesis.
be able to tell you he was in it. I haven't seen it in 1,000 years.
It's a good cast. Jeff Goldblum. It's a good cast.
Yeah.
It's a funnier rom-com. Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
leans a little more on comedy than that.
And then this one, I saw, like I said, I saw this one in theaters. It's also, I guess, kind of a good Christmas movie, maybe, but one of my favorite romantic movies, and I can't believe it was in my mind to put on my list, and somehow it didn't get there, but it needs to be back on.
I'm not
This
a
is the
Sandra
one that-
Bullock fan.
No, me neither.
You're fired. We're not friends, both of you. No,
I'm not anti her, but I just mean I don't think she has a good filmography. I don't like her movies. It's not against her personally.
I like Speed, but that's about it.
Sandra.
There must be something else I like with her, but nothing really comes to mind. So that's the falling in
Or
love
did you
with
get
the
all
guy
your
in the
thoughts
coma.
on Chasing Amy? Yes.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't really have thoughts.
Well,
anyway,
no.
to
Well, she
begin
thought
with.
she loved the guy in a coma, claimed to be his boyfriend, ended up falling in love with. Go see
The
it
brother or something. I can't remember.
with the brother. Yes,
Yeah,
but there's more.
I
It's fun.
I didn't see it, but I have like a tentative grasp of it.
Great cast too. Peter Gallagher, Bill Pullman.
I mean, Sandra
I'm
Bullock.
forgetting
I
an older
guess you could
gentleman's name.
watch.
Great.
She's in a terrible movie early in her career called Fire on the Amazon that you can watch if you want to see her topless. So I
Yes.
could throw that out there.
Nah,
Corman.
It's a crappy movie, but
Craig Schaefer was in that with her, I believe.
no idea. Sandra Bullock.
I'm trying to go around here. I don't got that.
No worries, no worries. I figured Sandra
Thanks,
would make.
StreamYard. I can't
Corey,
believe
Corey brings up a good question.
I forgot it.
John Resisnik.
What's his question?
Is that Sandra Bullock or the dude from the Goo Goo Dolls?
All right. I see. I see you, Corey.
I guess
There
a
you
question I'd pose: Sandra Bullock or Meg Ryan? Who's the queen of these movies? The modern.
Meg Ryan.
For me, Sandra Bullock, but
Okay.
I've seen
I'm not saying
more
I
of
hate
the
Meg.
Meg Ryans.
Mhm.
I mean, I assume sooner or later somebody's going to bring up When Harry Met Sally,
Yeah, I figured that'll be on here.
which is one of
Probably.
the only like romantic. Like I'm not a romantic. I like straight romance more than I like romantic comedies. I find
Mhm.
romantic comedies are usually schlocky. I'd rather just a straight, completely playing it straight, dramatic romance. I find like there's very little to find, redeeming about romantic comedies. Obviously, there are exceptions, but I would say, I guess, When Harry Met Sally is kind of an exception for me.
Yeah.
Quick shout out to Kory from S'mores Indoors. I hope you're back at 100% as soon as possible, man. Pulling
Yes.
for you.
Yes.
Too many broken ankles.
I was looking at the wrong chat there.
What are you on there, Jess Graham?
That's right. I always forget. Cliff was in the Muppet movie. I don't know if you hit that. I'm
No, I didn't.
all over the place tonight, fellas. Thank you for carrying the show for me. I'm just trying.
No
to
worries,
keep it
no
together.
worries. No worries.
Oh,
I guess
just
this
hold
next
on,
pick,
Cliff.
this is a Kory pick. Oh, what?
Cliff had said that
Annoying.
these lists are lacking badly in classic cinema. I told him to hold on.
Hold on, we just got going, and I didn't even know what the show was until
There
I
you
had to
go.
do some research.
This
on
is-
why.
Nice.
This is one of mine. If it's got Bogart in it, I probably like it. So, and I know that Harrison Ford did the remake, but the Bogart
I saw the
Greg
remake.
Kinnear.
Yeah.
way better.
Yeah. Which honestly, if it wasn't for the remake, sadly, I wouldn't know about this one, or at least wouldn't have known about it.
Yeah,
when
I
did.
know about it. I have only seen the remake, but that doesn't mean I wouldn't watch this. I would.
This is a damn good movie. It's one of my favorite Bogart movies. If you haven't seen it, definitely watch it.
I honestly,
I
you're
won't.
gonna
I don't
like
want to
it a
give too
lot.
much of it away, but
It's not a horrible film, but I honestly don't think it's kind of mediocre to me. I did check it out after seeing the other Sabrina, and I thought the same thing about its remake. So I was kind of disappointed in both.
Was it Emma Thompson in the remake? I think it's been a long time.
You know what?
I can't remember. I mean, I'm a Harrison Ford fan, but that movie did not really make much of an impact on me.
It was a one watch for me too.
Yeah,
more or less.
And I can't say this older one it was much more for me either. Yeah.
I like this movie, this version of the movie, so definitely check it out.
Okay.
Yeah, I like Bogart.
What up, Ghost?
Good evening, Ghost.
Ghost next month, possibly Psycho will be in touch.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, I believe
Talk
Sabrina's
amongst
playing
yourselves.
on Tubi, so
There's a lot on Tubi.
Let's go with a. This is another.
oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Damn.
Excuse me. Hold on. I've got like
Tell us how you
screens
really
blocking
feel.
my screen. Hold on. I got to get back to that.
Cliff said
saw
he
my
loves
name.
you very much. You're his favorite podcaster.
Clifford. Whoa.
Great.
Whoa, he's never got it.
He's just like calling Leo to get
I
the flamethrower right
I
now.
love you too. We can take that off there.
Are you sure? I think, is there a way to pin that so that's the only comment?
That'll be in the
Wow.
thumbnail.
Okay. This next one is Dan threw at me.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so I mean I
Totally solid rom-com.
Shout
Yeah,
out to Ben
really?
Grimm.
Okay.
$100.
Whoa. Well, I have a ton of problems with this one.
You don't
It's
like
right up
this
Dan's
one?
alley.
It makes sense. It's this
No.
This one is more sex comedy rom-com blend, but I
Is
do
it
like
though?
Who's the
I
actress?
haven't seen it in a long time. That's Alicia Cuthbert.
Lisa
Yeah, she
Cuthbert.
was on the show The Ranch. Okay.
Yeah, she was.
She's on
Like,
24. She's married
yeah,
to Dion Phaneuf. I know her very
She
well.
was big for like a relatively short period of time. Another good cast. Emil Hirsch is the guy in it that's trying to win her heart. James Remar, Timothy Olyphant.
Paul Dano.
Yeah, really good
Wow,
cast.
Out of he's the weird friend, is he?
Yeah, always.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a long time. I mean, I'm like a lot of people. For me, Paul Dano just emerged like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Like he never existed before that. Like I get it, he's been around. So.
It's actually funny. I thought Emil would be the bigger deal if I was looking at this movie, but Paul kind of.
Well, Emil's different, right? He was like a leading guy in the 2000s who just dropped off the map. But I'll very quickly get into my problems. Yeah.
Great movie.
Yeah, the string of movies, and I don't think too many
Alpha Dog.
flops. He just disappeared.
He does movies now with like 90s action stars. It's like he's usually the real star of the movie and they're in it for 10 minutes. That's kind of where he's at now.
But I don't think of this as like even a rom-com sex. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to. Okay, so I have this thing that people that watch my other show, or Jay would know very well, is that there's been certain movies in my life that were marketed as comedies that when I watched them were in no way comedic or even trying to be funny. And this is one of them. Like this movie takes a weird, dark, uncomfortable turn. It's like, oh, I'm going to go up the girl. And then she's just like, oh, is this what you wanted? You just see me as like some whore? And then it turns into like this whole dark thing showing how bad and seedy the porn industry is. And the stakes get really high. Like, I think they're going to like kill him or something. Like, I was not prepared for the dark turn this movie takes. There was no humor in it for me. It was just really uncomfortable. It's like, I did not think they were going to take this unflinchingly, like, realistic look at the porn industry and just shove it down our throats this way. I found it really off-putting and uncomfortable, and it just totally took me by surprise. I didn't find anything, like, it all wraps up nicely at the end. Everything works out. His friend gets to be a porn director. They have a real relationship. But to get there is a crazy ride of dark, upsetting things. Like,
it's a little different. Wow. It is a little bit different.
I don't like it at all. I haven't seen it in a long time, but it's still seared in my brain how uncomfortable and off-putting I found it.
Towards the end, yeah, it does take an interesting turn towards the end, but good role for James Reamer, like as a sleazy porn guy. With Hugo Posh, I think was his name. And he the scene when they're having to steal his statue, his AVN award, was, I thought, pretty funny, but not for everybody and not traditional, but yeah.
I will disagree as far as the comedy part, but I am wrong. It's not a romantic comedy. It's more of I would categorize it as sexual comedy for sure.
It's kind of both.
I can't even remember.
You can always argue it has romance.
What are the sex gags? I can't even really remember any.
Stealing the statue and him chasing him naked around the thing, going to the porn convention in Vegas. I assume it was the AVNs. I can't remember. And being mistaken
was all the romance he needed. So
it's such a romantic atmosphere. Yes,
it can be, but yeah, when they were posing as directors, and then that bodybuilder dude played by the WCW wrestler Horseshoe was like, "You got to cast my girl." It's like, feel her tits. It is more.
Yeah, I do remember that. I do remember that. Like I said, I won't. I'll just shut up because
I don't think it'll be.
I just remember being
that's what this
so
show is,
shocked
though.
by how dark
is.
and serious it was.
It is.
Like there's other movies like that. You see the movie Loser? Remember with what's his name from American Pie? Loser.
Yeah.
Like that was supposed to be a comedy, and if you watch it, it's again a very dark, upsetting, off-putting movie where the stakes once again are much higher and more serious and depressing than you ever expect. It's the same kind of deal.
There's other examples of that, like Last American Virgin, which I think is a fantastic film, better than, certainly Girl Next Door, but that also has some things in it you're not expecting. Certainly, you can see that it wasn't, made by Americans for sure.
Yeah, I guess I still don't put it in the same category, but maybe that's because I don't remember like the marketing for like I remember the marketing. I remember like trailers for this movie making it look like a goofy fun time, and it wasn't for me. But anyway,
yeah.
I can tell you that there's a really good movie to pair with The Girl Next Door, which is Miss March.
Miss March, yeah, that's a comedy, but yeah,
I know it.
Yeah. Maybe dark.
I do miss those actors though. I did like Emile Hirsch and I did like Alicia Cuthbert. It is too bad we don't really see them anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, she does some low budget horror stuff now, and like I said, he's in a ton of stuff. It's just all,
Oh, I've never lost track of her.
Yeah,
that doesn't sound good, but I don't know. She's Canadian, so she's quite well known as a Canadian celebrity. Married to a hockey player and all that. So she pops up often.
Yeah, she's still around.
So yeah. But I guess it was 24 that made her like a big star. I never watched the show, but that was a massive show. People love that show.
I tried to watch that show once and I couldn't.
My biggest issue with that show? Like at a certain point, like you're deeper in the series and it's like, you have literally saved the world 7 times now. How do people not know your name? Like the way that show unfolds, it's like, I'm having a little trouble with suspending my disbelief at this point. Only you can stop this nuke from going off in Los Angeles. Nobody else. We just have to have you.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. That was one of those shows that like really rode this wave of like mixed paranoia, xenophobia, and patriotism of like a post 9/11 society, where it's just like, yeah, that's against the war. I don't know. It never interested me.
Jess, you still with us?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm gonna have a direction
He's-
without Jess.
He's
You
baiting.
ready?
Yeah, I think we're ready for the next one.
This is So I Married an Axe Murderer. Orc.
Hell yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
So this movie is awesome. And it's got Mike Myers, as you can see, and some chick whose name I don't remember. And it takes place in San Francisco. And yeah, it's a really fun movie and has a really good twist at the end. And well, not really a twist from the title, but yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. And ever since I was a kid until now, yeah.
Amanda
awesome.
Plummer is in that in a small role, and she always kind of steals the show.
Yeah, but who is the other female in it? The one that he marries.
Was it Nancy Travis? Or I think it was Nancy Travis, wasn't it?
She's the one that played the mom in Three Men and a Baby, and she was like on Last Man Standing, and was
I'm
just
pretty
on Shifting Gears.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Nancy Travis. I was about to say Andy McDowell, but no, I think it's Nancy Travis. Another one I haven't watched in a long time. Work. I'll have to check it out again. I was not expecting.
I'll
that.
admit to having. I've never seen it. I know what it is. I'm well aware of Mike Myers' career. I've never actually seen the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a little different.
I honestly was super excited to see this, and when finally rented it, it was a slight disappointment to me. It's got some funny moments, and you see some bit of fat bastard voice in there, and one of Mike Myers' many characters in it. So it's definitely worth a watch.
I think it might have suffered from we just want more Wayne's World, because I think it was 93 that it came out, and it's like everybody just wanted
2025. I still want more Wayne's World, but
It's
This,
kind of
like,
like comedy,
You don't.
who done it, but like with a lot of like mystery and funny stuff mixed in. The best way to describe it.
Like this precipitated Mike Myers' exit for Saturday Night Live. Like he took the first half of that season of the show off to make the movie, finished the season, and then just left to pursue movies, which had mixed results. But I'm not saying he should have stayed. Everyone should just stay on Saturday Night Live forever, like Kenan Thompson. But I'm just saying maybe it wasn't the greatest move at the time for him. But
I think Kenan knew the movie career was not going to happen. So
he was a mighty duck, so he can always have that. No one can take that away from him, that he was a mighty duck.
Hey, Kory, you know what? It's like people only do things for money, and that's just really sad.
Oh, man, Orc, I'm starting to get a headache. Oh, wait, I'll take 2 of these.
This is a nice little departure, because I'm doing the Oscar stuff, so always at the very end, because I watch everything, it's always the most depressing shit that I somehow save for the very end. So, dying, starving kids, and all this awful stuff. So it's nice to talk about Mike Myers movies.
Because how's the line go? Because I'm
Are you
fat
laughing at
and I'm
starving
big.
kids, or
No, I'm laughing at the fat bastard line.
Oh, okay.
I'm fat because I eat, and I eat because I'm fat. Is that how it goes, or something?
It's actually not supposed to be.
I eat
funny.
because I'm unhappy, and I'm unhappy because I eat. It's a vicious cycle.
Orc's about to bust a gut. I can tell. He can't help himself. I lost all this weight. Now I'm gonna make fun of the fats. God damn it. Yeah, but yeah. No.
All right. Sorry. I shouldn't have done these out of order.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see. It's we've got a good mix of non-traditional stuff tonight and traditional. I think the last 3, honestly, like I said, I didn't have a lot of time, but they are horror oriented for
Hoary.
me.
One of them's kind of hoary.
kind of hoary, or I've been recording for like 3 hours, Jess. Give me a break. I make up words sometimes.
It's okay.
Let's see if
I
this
do
one's hoary. Not hoary at all.
Ghost. I threw this up there. It's not hoary, Kory, but this was the last movie, Kory will know this, I saw in this old theater downtown, the Riviera.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fabulous. I mean, we're talking the balcony, the architecture. But Ghost. I know I have 2 Patrick Swayze movies up here tonight, and I don't know if that says something. Technically, I think Roadhouse is probably my favorite movie of his, but
The Sways.
these are the romance.
Sways.
Crazy for Swayze.
There you go. You wanted him to hold you like that, Jess.
Maybe not, but it's a good effing movie. And
It's a good movie, and still, honestly, if you've never watched it, and you're not, into the mushy stuff, it's still, I think, a very almost borderline kind of supernatural kind of some light
supernatural
horror
action,
elements, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually had this
Grittiness.
in my honorable mentions, but yeah, it's once again it's got Patrick Swayze in it, so my wife loved it. So,
yeah, supposedly a really nice guy too. It's sad that he left us too soon.
Marvelous dancer.
Made some unique decisions towards the end of his career. Black Dog. Did anybody watch that? The trucker movie that's kind of also a ghost movie.
no,
I did back in the day when I was working at the video store.
It's different. It's
That's
very
late 90s, right?
Yeah, like 98. Like Meatloaf was in it, and
Yeah. Right when I was working.
It's like an old school like action trucker flick, like Convoy. But then it's got like this supernatural element that comes out of nowhere. It's kind of interesting. Better than the Fast and the Furious movies.
No ghost boobs, but where was it? Chris, Slasher Home Video. We already did that one. But yeah, I respect where you get the romance. Yeah. That is the romantic Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah, I almost thought somebody else was going to take it, so I didn't even bother on the horror side of things. But yeah, I agree. Though I fell in love with that movie for obvious reasons.
Okay.
All right, what do we got next, Jess?
That's not it.
Hit me.
Let's do it.
It's coming.
That's what she said.
Well, since this is what I was able to pull up, it wasn't what it was going to be. But it is still a Kory pick.
This is my number one.
Yeah, that.
Or Casablanca.
Delay. There we go.
This is the greatest movie, romance or other. This is the greatest movie ever made. If you have not seen this, quit torturing yourself and watch it.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. All the gin joints. I can't remember the last part of that line, but
in all the towns,
in all the towns. There you go.
And she had a walk into mine.
Yeah, this
song as time goes by.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually think I might like this more than Gone with the Wind.
I definitely do.
Gone with the Wind's a little too long, but yeah,
take this easily over Gone with the Wind.
Oh.
Huh. I just
love the World War. I like the World War II intrigue.
Yeah.
It just has such great atmosphere. You really feel like I don't know.
That makes sense. I mean, I'm a big Civil War.
Not me so much.
So,
and not to mention the fact that Rick Blaine is just a really cool character. So,
He's
I
one
love
of the
the
best.
I love the line where he's talking to the one French chick at the bar, and she goes, "Where were you last night?" He goes, "It's so long ago, I don't remember." Well, what are you doing tonight? That's too far away. I don't make plans that far ahead or whatever. It's just great
Yeah.
dialogue. Just everything about this is the perfect fucking movie.
No, I agree. The Casablanca is amazing, and any of the greatest movies of all time lists, it's always on there, and it's usually always in the top 10.
Well, and not to mention, you watch any not any romantic movie, but you watch TV shows or most romantic movies. Somewhere in there, there's a clip from this movie in it. There's they'll drive
Yeah.
by a movie theater and it's playing Casablanca. It's just that damn good.
Yeah, I agree.
Jess, your thoughts?
It's just such a great balance of different elements.
I was just gonna say, I mean, it's Bogart. It's great, but I'm
Bogey.
more of a Gone with the Wind fan.
Oh, okay. That's okay. It's a great movie. Just, yeah, I'd rank Casablanca higher.
You do.
Yes, it does have Peter Lorre in it.
Peter Lorre's amazing. Doesn't get talked about. I think time's kind of forgetting him, unfortunately, but
Oh, I won't forget him.
yeah.
Well, you were talking about a great cast. This has got obviously Bogart, Peter Lorre, Claude Rains, Conrad Veidt,
The Man Who
and
Laughs.
then Ingrid Bergman.
Yeah.
Bogey
can't-
gets snubbed. He should have won the Oscar for this one.
Yeah, that comes up a lot because, like I said, I've been enveloped in
Here's
Oscars.
this 44? No, 42. 42?
42 sounds correct to me, but I'm not totally sure.
My posters
thinking
are too
40.
far away. I can't see them.
I believe it's 42.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Plus a
42.
ballsy movie to make in the middle of the war in some ways.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Because when wars are going on, you don't know all the facts. I mean, it's easy. Yeah, we're the good guys, they're the bad guys, but still, I mean, sometimes history really can fuck you over, and sometimes it can really vindicate you. This movie totally vindicates you. The Vichy French, they're doing the wrong thing. But
it came up in a
it's different to say that in
conversation.
1942 than to say,
Oh, yeah.
with
Yeah, no,
80 years of hindsight.
It came up in a conversation with the movie that came out this year, The Seed of the Sacred Fig, which was made by an Iranian director who shot some of it there, and it's like the balls on the guy to make it. Yeah. I don't think Casablanca was that dangerous.
No.
but yeah.
Cliff Booth, just a fun little fact here. I don't know if you're a baseball fan or not, but one of the Epstein brothers is the great grandfather of Theo Epstein, who was the president of baseball operations for the Chicago Cubs in 2016 when they won the World Series. He was also the GM of the Boston Red Sox in 2004 when they won the World Series. So just fun little fact there.
Breaking curses.
Yep.
The curse breaker. Wow, he should have that nickname, for Christ's sake. Because those are two extremely long droughts. I don't even know baseball, but I know that. Those are two extremely long droughts that ended.
Yeah.
And he was on board for both of them. That's pretty awesome.
Red Sox were 86 years, I think, and the Cubs were 108.
108. My Leafs are going to break that. Halfway there.
Another fun fact about that, and then I'll get off of that. The final run total for the Cubs was in 10 innings, they scored 8 runs in Game 7. So it was all sorts of fun little mathematical things you could see there. Anyway, yeah, Casablanca, great movie. Go watch it. Jess, I think we're ready for the next one.
Well, since we were talking about it, Gone with the Wind. I don't like my attention. I don't like super long movies unless they need to be. But this one keeps my
It's an
interest.
epic.
Am I breaking up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
An epic is an epic.
It is an epic. I mean, it does have its flaws, but but great cinematography, great performances, interesting story. Oh, it's just. I think it does deserve most of the credit it gets as one of the greatest films of all time, or at least.
I think it's better than the book,
Yeah.
which is rare.
Yeah, I don't like the book. I
most
tried
of the
reading the
time.
book. It is better than the book.
It's better than the book. It also helps, cleans up some of the more uncomfortable parts of the book that kind of are more overtly racist and stuff, obviously.
George Reeves was
definitely.
in this too, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. One of the twins.
Rhett Butler.
Even though it wasn't a twin. Yeah, I mean, there's some great lines, especially by Rhett.
Well, I'll say something. I don't know
definitely...
I was going to say, I don't know if this is controversial because, there's old movies that are from back in the day. They're black and white, and you just couldn't imagine. I like this colorized. Like, I do think this is improved.
This was filmed in
by
color.
Well,
Right, so it's not really colorization. It's just bringing it back.
Didn't Ted Turner buy a bunch of these movies, like a bunch of the black and white movies, and he colorized a bunch of them?
Yeah, and like Siskel and Ebert back in the 80s were super upset about it, and they were calling it a kind of vandalism. And I kind of side with them for most of it. But I do think there were certain movies that, like, it wasn't a stylistic choice. It was just black and white was what they used, and that's what they had. And I feel like this movie is better in color. I've seen it all the way through in black and white. I've seen it all the way through in color. I think color does improve it because it's the South and it's a war and, it's a vibrant movie and there's a big scene of burning and fire. I just think, it's not a film noir, so I do think it's improved by color. But some people are just like, no, leave it on.
Colorization doesn't bother me if it's done right. Because I've enjoyed a colorization version of, like, It's a Wonderful Life. We might have talked about that recently at the Christmas show, but
I
no,
would just
this
take
one
it on
I
a
think
case-by-case basis.
Gone with the Wind was filmed in color, Technicolor, I think.
Yeah, it's 39. It's the same year as Wizard of Oz.
It wasn't filmed black and white and colorized.
Yeah.
But yeah, and the visuals are beautiful too. The effects for the time, I mean, it's a good movie. Good movie.
It's a good romance too because it's sort of unconventional. It does, it's not just the cliches you might expect.
Big Crack Rock says Technicolor right on the poster.
It does.
I know, but there were plenty of places where it was released in black and white and ran on TV in black and white for decades. Obviously,
Yeah.
Obviously because it had to, because there weren't color TVs for a long time. So like whole generations of people were just used to it in black and white. So
Searching for the next one.
All right.
This is
Let's see what we got
Yeah.
next.
Thank you, StreamYard. This used to be a easier process.
They make everything harder,
This
don't they?
is. They do. 40 Days and 40 Nights. This is an Orc pick. Did I get this one right, Orc?
Oh.
Yes, you did, sir.
Isn't the whole point of this one work? that
Decent
he's
choice.
not- I don't remember this one well. Like, isn't this where he just no sex or
that's
Yeah,
another
yeah,
section
he
where he's
tries
like
to
no
not have
sex or no
40 days.
masturbation or something.
for 40
Yeah.
days?
4 days and 40 nights. Yeah. And yeah. And I saw it once back in the day. Liked it. It's got a good actor, and who's
Josh
on the
Hartnett.
comeback, which is good. And
Orc, admit it. Your favorite scene is the bus scene where like all the girls are naked.
well, you know, I didn't want
Oh, I guess I
to.
have to
Never
see it
mind.
now.
I don't remember.
Like, I
it
was
that
aware of
well.
it, but I've never seen it. I haven't
Yeah.
seen it. I know what it is. Again, I know the premise. I know the people involved, but I didn't see it.
I enjoy the movie. It's
I saw it in theaters.
It's just like
Who-
early
who's
I
2000s.
paid to see it. I think.
who's
Yeah,
the
or like
female in this movie?
2001 or 2.
Yeah, it was very
Right.
early.
It's part of that new wave of sex comedies that came out in the early 2000s after the success of American Pie.
It's just really funny, and every guy can relate to it because it's like, how long can you actually go without like losing your fucking mind? So
I remember
yeah.
surprisingly enjoying it, but I probably haven't watched it more than one more time since then in theaters. I don't know why. Maybe I need to revisit it.
I think Hartnett's like one of those guys for a long time. Like he just never lost the baby face, so it was hard for people to take him serious and other stuff. And he still looks like he's 20, but he's finally at
Yeah.
that point where people are looking at him for different things. He was good in Penny Dreadful, the show.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. Jay had to tell me because we were talking about that Trap movie that he's in, and I was like, "This is the first time I've seen him in like 15 years."
Well, that one's shit, but some people like it.
I hate it. Yeah, we don't have time for me to turn this into a whole completely different show where I rant about M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah,
but
that one.
The quickest recap is I don't like any of his movies. None. Zero. So there, that just makes it. I don't even.
Not even Hollywood Homicide.
None. No,
Oh,
I'm
he
talking
said
about M. Night
Shyamalan.
Shyamalan. Not
Oh,
Hartnett.
I thought you were talking about Hartnett. Sorry.
Well, Hollywood Homicide, they tried hard,
Shyamalan.
and they had Harrison Ford, who I like, but it didn't, even I can admit it's a pretty mediocre movie, But no, it's M. Night Shyamalan. That's a whole different show. I'm not trying to hijack the show. I'm just saying. Famously, he's a director. I like zero of his movies. None. Anyway.
Ford was in his I don't need to read the script. Can you pay me like a massive dump truck of money and I'll do it.
All right, buddy. What do we got next?
I'm working here.
You're working here.
This is oh, sorry, when you have like 5 different screens pulled up. And by the way, folks, I'm not really working the chat tonight as much, so
That's all right. I'll keep an eye on it.
Kory's, I think, been doing a pretty good job, but I usually read most of it, and I'm running.
No musicals on anyone's list so far. I can tell you there's none on mine, but I don't know about everybody else's.
Some of my favorite.
I mean, there could be if my list was big enough. It's not my favorites. None of my favorites. Like, I'm not anti-musical like some people are. If you go dig deep enough, I could get a musical up there, but they wouldn't be in my favorites.
If they're usually
like Beauty and the Beast, maybe
musicals
Beauty and the Beast,
recognized as a musical, then I would probably categorize it in the genre of musicals rather than romance. So, but I get you.
I mean, some of those Disney animated musicals are fine with their romance, like the '91 Beauty and the Beast or Aladdin. Those are fine.
But those are almost their own category itself, neither musical or romance, because they're Disney classics.
And they're usually fantasy and stuff too. Like I said, I was trying to look up like my romances on my flick chart, but I can't just say romance because they're just like anything that has a romantic subplot is technically romance. I'm like, that movie isn't romance. Like, I'm really trying to do movies where romance is like the main thing. It's not like just something going on in the background.
Okay. This is one of my picks, Spring. It's from the director duo of Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead. And this one, although it's within the horror and fantasy genres, it's definitely a romantic movie. It's about a young guy who kind of going through a personal meltdown. There's an incident and he has to flee from the country to go to Italy, where he kind of strikes up a romance with this mysterious woman who ends up being something else, and that's obviously where the horror element comes into it. But this is a great date movie. Whenever I have a date and she's like, show me like a romantic movie, but maybe something in the horror genre, I always pick this one. It's a really good date movie. But yeah, I mean, there is gore and everything. It's still a horror film, but I do highly recommend it. It's always been a successful date for me when I show this movie. And you'll recognize Nadia Hilker. She's later on Walking Dead, I believe after this movie came out, so that's kind of something she's recognizable for. And Lou Taylor Pucci, who is also somebody you probably recognize. This is definitely one of his better performances. But yeah, no, one of my favorites from this director duo, who have gone on to do a lot of things recently, but The Endless and Resolution and The Endless, which are also fantastic. Now they're kind of moving on to like bigger, more mainstream stuff, which I think is unfortunate because I really like their more indie type films, but now they're doing Low Key and Moon Knight and stuff like that. But I highly recommend.
Oh, they're the ones that did Moon Knight? Okay.
Well, they directed some of it. I mean, they weren't on the, creative or anything, but yeah.
That's a whole other show for me, Moon Knight. Moon Knight's my favorite comic book character, so obviously I have a lot of thoughts on how they did the show. But anyway,
well, they just directed Director for Hire.
Yeah, I know.
They're
well directed. A well directed show, that's for sure.
Yeah. Damn, Brian, that's harsh.
But I will have to look for this movie because I don't know it, and that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, I think you'll enjoy it. Like I said, it's some horror fans might look at it as being a little too romantic and a little too mushy, but even if your girl is not a horror fan, I think you're safe with this one personally. Yeah.
Chris, Crack Rock out there, Brian, all you guys. Hello, if I missed you, I'm sorry.
You guys mentioned Return of the Living Dead 3. I mean, that's definitely a romantic movie.
Crap, I don't know.
All right. You still working over there, Jess?
I am about ready for one. I just had to remember which.
Sweet. Am I the only one that saw Spring? I didn't think it's super.
I hadn't even heard of it. So, but that sounds pretty cool. So,
yeah, it's a good time. Beautiful looking movie too.
This pick is my pick. When we first talked about doing this, or Kory said rom-coms, this always pops into my head. Never Been Kissed. I love this movie.
my mother likes this movie a lot.
It's great.
So I've seen this movie like because my mother made me watch it. So yeah,
come on, she got good
taste.
Guy,
what's his name? Like Michael Vartan or something?
Her love interest.
Yep.
He's the only one I
The
can't
teacher
think
guy?
of his name.
Michael Shannon?
I think his name's Michael Vartan.
No.
Oh no, Molly.
This is where she goes undercover.
Molly
right?
Shannon's in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she goes undercover in a high school as a news
student.
reporter.
Yeah. David Arquette.
My mom likes this movie.
David Arquette,
And
Gary
she-
Marshall.
Yeah.
Michael Vartan's in there. My mom likes him. She used to watch Alias, and she was furious that Ben Affleck had him fired.
He was good. He was good in this. Yeah.
He does a
Great
little
cast.
Gordie Howe thing in it. That's what I remember.
Yes. I love that. Hockey reference is great.
I've
His
never
own
seen
idea, not part of the script. It's okay, I guess.
I'm surprised you haven't, Kory. This I definitely think you would enjoy, Kory. Better than Drive Me Crazy, even, and I like Drive Me Crazy a lot. But it's in that vein, I'd say, in that era.
Sounds like a
I mean,
cheap
when we were
version of
talking-
21 Jump Street.
No,
The show,
yeah,
not
no.
the show, not the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it
no.
is an undercover high school student, but that's about it. But I don't know. When we were talking about Sandra Bullock, I kind of feel the same way, I guess, about Drew Barrymore. I'm just like, most of her filmography is just useless and fluff. Like, I don't dislike her as a person or even as an actress. I just don't respond to the movie she's in. I feel like she's in mostly just, useless movies that I don't get anything out of.
What was the movie where she was topless? For the Boys or something like that?
Maybe it's Boys on the Side?
Maybe that's it. I don't.
Riding in cars with boys? I'm trying.
It's like her and two other chicks, and there's a scene where she's topless, and I was like, okay, I've seen her naked. I don't need to see anymore.
Might be one of those. Actually, way back when the internet was sort of new, she's like one of the first people I ever saw like naked online, because she went through a whole thing in the 90s where she's just like, I need to shed my good girl image of a child star and be naughty. So I remember like in like 95 or 96 being like on the early internet and finding like, a bunch of her photo shoots, nothing too explicit, but still. So she's like one of the first celebrities like I've seen that way.
Alyssa Milano followed suit right after.
That she did.
You big crack rock.
Poison
But,
Ivy.
So what's going on in this movie? She's like a reporter who decides to go undercover to high school. I don't even remember what was the point? Like, what's she trying to do?
To do on like what teens are basically doing or
Yeah.
interested in.
Isn't it funny that I was always like that in movies and TV shows? Like in the real world, no one gives a shit. It's like, oh, wouldn't it be interesting to get an inside look at a high school? No one cares. At least I don't think so.
Well, and I think it was supposed to be like more of a grittier story. Are they hanging out, drinking, partying,
Doing drugs.
and then she ends up. I don't want to give away the whole plot. She ends up, seeing some in the nerd group, and Lily
Yeah, I know
Sobieski
that
is
much.
in this all as well, and Giuseppe
Because
Andrews.
because I know it's like personal for her because her high school experience when she was really there was not good. Like she was an outcast nerd or whatever.
I don't remember this
think.
one as well.
I say check it out if you haven't seen it.
It was around the same time, I think Matthew Perry and Salma Hayek were in Fools Rush In. That was another one that was kind of popular at that.
That's a great movie.
I'll watch anything for Salma Hayek, but I didn't like the movie. But yeah,
Oh, I love that.
I don't pass up a chance to see Salma Hayek.
Looks just as good as ever.
Movie just makes me hate Matthew Perry, even though it's just a movie. I'm just like, don't touch her.
Have you ever been more jealous of an inner tube?
It's up there.
Okay, I figured this
Kory,
one would.
this is Kory pick.
Okay.
Yes, this is my pick. My wife and I actually hit a time frame about a month or two where it was like once a week we were watching this movie. And of course you can't forget to mention the whole orgasm scene in the diner, so nothing more romantic than that. And Meg Ryan looks hot, so
I know it's still something that's in the pop culture because it was a Super Bowl commercial again where they brought Sydney Sweeney into it and kind of did a takeoff. Soon to be Barbarella.
Yep, good choice. And that's Edgar Wright too, so it's also a good.
I got a feeling at this point you could pay Sydney Sweeney to just stand in front of the camera and just say the product's name, and that's all you need.
What's weird is like she's doing like some sort of boxing movie where she's going to play a real life boxer, and like a whole bunch of people like saw like pictures of it and like body shamed her. I'm like, who's body shaming Sydney Sweeney? But like that's just how like crazy people are. They're just like, oh, she looks terrible. She's not gonna be good in this movie. I'm like, what? But
I think Sophie Thatcher is going to be the next It girl. She might be slowly taking that spot. We'll have to see.
But yeah, I haven't seen When Harry Met Sally in a long time. But yeah, it was always the movie I would bring up. It's like I don't like romantic comedies, but When Harry Met Sally is pretty solid. It's usually the thing I would say. And since I'm a bit younger than the movie, well, I'm not younger than the movie, but you know, I didn't see it as a little kid. Like, I'm sure I probably saw like a parody or a reference to that scene before I ever actually saw the real scene.
Same
It was
here.
a big deal. Showed up in a lot of things.
And not to be a prick, Billy Crystal's awesome in the movie too. So
No,
He's
I
good.
like him.
There's I get the movie, but it's never really clicked with me, or that's not the word. I just never really cared that much for it.
you need to rewatch
I
it,
mean,
Jess.
I appreciate it for its honesty, but at the same time, it's not very relatable. Like, I
Yeah.
had girls I was friends with, but never like best friends. So I didn't have like these honest, like super. I mean, later in life, I kind of did with one person, but that was way off. But I just mean, yeah, like, and that whole thing is like, man and women can't be friends. There's always gonna be sex in, like, and you know, there's people on all sides of that, whether or not that's actually true or not. They take it and they're like, yep, they do wind up together. So. Because so in one way, it destroys one of my favorite things in like fiction and storytelling, which is I really like genuine friendships between boys and girls, men and women that don't have like romantic tension in them. I like that when it's done right. So, and it seems like to not get done right most of the time. So I kind of am annoyed by this movie, like making a point of like just, you know, knocking it down. But it's just one movie, so.
This was actually the first movie I ever saw with Carrie Fisher in it where it wasn't Star Wars. So
Oh yeah, she had a
Probably the
she
same for me, I'd imagine.
Yeah, she did some good stuff. People forget she's not just Princess Leia.
Well, some of her greatest work was even she was called in as a ghostwriter on a lot
Yeah.
of movie scripts that you got everybody here, I'm sure, has seen and doesn't realize Carrie Fisher,
Yeah.
the dialogue, she'd clean up the dialogue in a lot of films and TV.
Very talented.
So very, very talented lady.
Rest in peace.
That's true. I
Jess,
like
how
autumn
would you-
scenery.
how
In
would you
fact,
say that word?
a movie I have might have some of that.
Jess, can you
What was
can
that?
you try and pronounce that word for me? It's a good movie for
Autumn.
autumnal.
Like evoking
Autumnal?
the spirit of autumn, like fall
Yeah.
scenery. Autumn.
Okay,
scenery.
Yeah, you say it fast, you're good.
Autumn.
my eyesight's going, so I couldn't really. All right, buddy. What we got? Anything else?
Big word, Cliff. We do. Well, this is the next. Oh, I didn't. I hit stop sharing instead. Yes. This one is Dan.
Oh, okay. Which one is this?
After Midnight. Is that
Yes.
that you? Is this right?
Yes.
Oh,
That
yeah.
is me.
Oh, the what's the order of those? Or no, that's by itself. Never mind. I'm thinking of something else. I know what this is.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay. I was gonna say it because it's a one and done, but
I was for a second there. I was thinking of like before sunrise and before sunset, and I'm like, that's not right.
I think I knew where
That's
you
not
were
Ethan
going.
Hawke.
No, this one is
no,
not.
I know what this is too, though. I do know what this is. I have not seen it.
It's a 2019 film from the directing duo of Jeremy Gardner and Christian Stella, and this is also like horror romance. I mean, it leans a little more. I don't know. I guess you could say it's equal, but it follows this guy Hank, whose girlfriend has just left him, and he's kind of in that melancholy state in this small house where he's recalling his relationship where things may have went wrong while a monster is trying to break into the house and eat him. It's I like this one a lot. Very quirky kind of indie film. In fact, ironically, I think Justin Benson, who directed the last one I mentioned with Aaron Moorhead, also produces this, so he has his hands in it. It's quite funny. I really enjoy it. Bria Grant, who is kind of one of the she was on Heroes, which is kind of what she's known for the most, I suppose. But she's also kind of one of the it girls in the indie horror scene right now. And if you're a Last Podcast on the Left fan, Henry Zabrowski is in it as one of the comic relief characters. And because a group of friends don't believe him about the monster, and that factors into it. Another fun one to watch on date night if you want a little horror with your romance.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Cool. I've never seen it.
I recommend it to most. I think most of you will get a laugh out of it and enjoy it. It's not too weird or anything. Brian, I believe I should have an answer for that, and I'd go grab it if I knew exactly where it was. It was a BDR at first, and I'm not 100% sure, but there is a Blu-ray that you can buy for After Midnight, if that's what you're asking about. Could double with Spring. I'd say I probably prefer Spring is the bigger budgeted movie out of the two. But if you're ever in that like funk, like after a relationship, it's a fun one to watch.
All right.
It's I've been watching a lot of like very non-romantic movies. Like I got Girl with the Needle the other day, which is just a fucking soul punch. So trying to remember the light fluffy ones.
Well, I haven't seen a Hallmark movie on here yet, so
No, those are all pretty
None
much
of mine
the
are going to be.
same. Okay, so
Okay. This is funny because one of my honorable mentions is the better one.
Mm-hmm.
You know I'm talking. Dan knows what I mean.
Yeah.
Wings of Desire
Mm.
was almost on my list, but when Jess said keep it to 5, I knocked it into honorable mentions. So I'll just say Wings of Desire would have been my honorable mention, not this. Anyway,
I kind of remember this.
It wouldn't have been this.
this is a remake. If people aren't aware, this is a loose remake of the
Very
German
loose.
film Wings of Desire.
Yeah.
Very loose.
It's very loose. So it's
I mean, I don't remember why the Goo Goo Dolls got brought up, but that's all I think about with this movie. Is the song "Iris" was on this soundtrack, and it was a big deal.
Yeah.
And I don't want the world to see me because I don't think that they.
Orc should be singing.
Yeah,
he is in his heart. I think that probably like sold this movie, made its money just on the Iris song at the time. I remember. Well, I won't spoil the movie or anything, but it had some interesting visuals, I guess. Other than that, I don't have a whole lot to say about City of Angels.
it has a weird ending, I guess.
I think I've seen that movie once.
Or at least
on the
it's
beach
very
with all
forgettable. Very forgettable movie.
Meg
all
Ryan
the strikes again.
She's kind of getting
towards
the end of her Sure Thing run at that point.
Yeah, this is 98.
Yeah, she's
the height of Nick Cage, though. That's the absolute zenith of Nick Cage's career, 98. Like, it couldn't be better for him. It's
probably
A-list, man.
Movie star there was for a minute there. Face Off, Con Air, like so much of that's The Rock. All of that was within like 2 years.
Yeah. All great action movies, but he's like, I can do drama too.
Yeah.
Nick Cage is his own show because
Nick Cage played Don Morocco.
He could. He's not bad in that movie. Like I will say, like he's a little more restrained. He's fine. It's not a good movie, but Don Cheadle, I think, was like the head angel in that. If I remember.
Oh, okay. I don't even remember.
Yeah.
I did watch Wings of Desire like just a couple months ago again, so that's more. But I'll just point out that would have been one of my honorable mentions because it's such a different sort of movie. It's like just such a I don't know. It's just a really peaceful movie. I know a lot of people might lose patience with it and think certain scenes go on too long, because even I feel like that. But still, it is a very peaceful, obviously introspective movie, in that we're hearing people's thoughts. It's full of little moments where we're intruding on these people and hearing their thoughts, and it's really very interesting. And Peter Falk playing himself with another twist on it. I mean, that's just awesome, man. Like most people, like I knew Peter Falk was in that, but I imagine like seeing that movie and like having no idea, and it's like that's Peter Falk, and he's playing himself in this German movie in Berlin about angels. Like what? That must have taken some people by surprise. I have to think. Like I was well aware before I ever saw the movie that he was in it. But
That's a good film.
It's a good romance because it's well, I mean, it's the same thing as City of Angels. It's an angel wanting to give up his heavenly status to live a life with a mortal woman. Good romance there.
Well,
but it's
I
much
kind
more
of watched
interesting.
City of Angels by accident, and
a French trapeze artist. And what even is Meg Ryan in that? She's not a French trapeze artist. I know that.
Wasn't she a nurse or something?
Yeah, she was a doctor.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to spoil the whole movie.
Boring.
Dennis Franz. It's a fun one.
Sipowicz is in this. Holy shit!
He is, and he's not naked.
He's great. Yeah.
I mean, I guess I should watch it again because I literally haven't seen it in over 20 years. But I still think
I
the
will
soundtrack
say there's
made
a
that
stretch towards the end rewatching it that it was kind of like, loses a little bit, but then I think the ending makes up for it. But it's I was surprised by it. I flashed up The Bodyguard with Kevin Costner and Whitney Houston up there. I had to that was replaced by like While You Were Sleeping in 9 months, and I just want to say Nicholas Sparks' writing is just phenomenal. And that's
I am not in agreement with that. I don't think he's a hacker or anything. I just think he's like a formulaic.
No, I really don't.
Guy.
I didn't read the movie.
Okay,
I'm not qualified to talk about
That's
it.
as close to a
think
Hallmark
his stuff
movie I
is-
think we're getting to.
It's just so formulaic. It's The Notebook.
But I got
I saw The Notebook. Yeah.
Cool. Oh, by the way, Jaw the Stingray.
What's up, Jay?
No. And to say hi, Cliff had mentioned The Rules of the Game, which is an amazing movie. It never occurred to me to think of it as a romance, though. It's like a scathing social commentary tearing into the upper class that ignores the world around it. Is there romance in it? I don't remember, but maybe. Anyway, it's a great movie, The Rules of the Game.
There is. It's not what I would. Yeah, I wouldn't.
I can't remember any. Like, there must be like a subplot or something. Anyway, it's a great movie, so great shout out. It's an amazing movie that I would totally recommend. It's really old. It's 39, but it's one of those movies that was like doing things like before anybody else did them, like things we just take for granted now. Like some of those things are there, like I don't know, stuff like the way they use negative space or stuff in the background. It's like, oh, that's a big deal. You can see what's going, the action down the hall instead of what's in front of the camera. It's like, who gives a fuck? But it's like back then that was brand new, people. You know?
Big deal.
Anyway, great movie. Never would have thought of it as a romance, but I guess it has romantic sensibilities or atmosphere. Anyway, fantastic movie.
Which one was that?
Cliff Booth had brought up it's a French film, very old, called The Rules of the Game.
Oh, yes.
Saying it's a fantastic movie. I just never thought of it as a romance. There must be something in there, but mostly it's like a social commentary, kind of making fun of the upper class.
I'm gonna have you do your batch and
Okay, I didn't want I didn't want to overload them all, so you'd have to look them up. I just didn't want to give them away, but I guess it doesn't matter.
just as you say them, maybe I'll try to pull up something for it.
I think I have.
This is the last one I have. What was sent to me, Dan?
Oh yes. So this is definitely the
It's
weirdest.
a beautiful poster.
Yes. This is the weirdest of my picks from 2009. Low, director, writer Travis Betts, and this is a horror musical, and it's this guy Justin who his girlfriend April is kidnapped by demons for reasons, and he starts to piece things together when he finds an ancient occult book that she left behind, and using the book, he contacts the demon Lo, and orders him to help him rescue his girl. But there's some complications to that. Lo likes to sing and kind of tells his story through song. Really good movie. Again, this one is different, but different to me is a good thing. I saw it in 2009, kind of just expecting a schlocky horror film, and by God, I got something really unique and different. I like the musical numbers, which are not like nonstop or anything. There's a few of them. He's kind of presented as like a lounge singer in this scenario, and yeah. If you've seen it, you will remember it. It is a memorable movie.
What's up, Steak?
What up, Steak?
It's good to have recommendations for stuff off my radar, because I don't know idea either, but pretty cool.
That one's definitely the indie weirdo movie pick for me tonight. But I like it a lot.
That's awesome.
We need you guys to drop more of your romantic picks in the chat.
I'm curious what Steak's romantic picks are.
That would be.
Yeah, I don't know
Now we
if I
say
have
that,
it
but
yet.
Steak is actually
Be excited.
a romantic.
It's true.
So
It's true.
maybe I wouldn't be so surprised.
Steak, Jay.
I didn't throw anything.
Drop your list in the chat.
Jay is a big Meg Ryan fan. Like, he's got posters all over his walls.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, okay. I know mine are like
Finally,
I said.
we have a Cole pick up.
Oh, good pick.
Okay, so I'm a little surprised. I thought somebody would. I think this is the most obvious one that's been left off. Jay and I did a whole show on it on our show a few years back. If anybody wants to circle back and watch that, but I mean, it's very much what, if you've seen like a teaser for it or something, you know, like it really gets the spirit across. It's a very quirky magic realism type movie. Has some stuff in common with maybe almost a Wes Anderson, but it goes a little further. It's a French movie. Obviously, it's set in France. It's very French, but I don't know. It's just super fun. It's one of those movies I want to live in. I just love the world they create. This little suburb in Paris that I just adore so much. But she's just a classic character in cinema, I think. I think it's one of the things. Like, it's a romance eventually, and we find like she gets together with a guy. Spoilers, but he's not in it too much. A lot of it is sort of her in a search and doing other things. But she is the movie. She's such a, I don't know, likable, interesting, fun character. It's just a sunny, happy, good time. Like,
stab somebody.
Yeah, she's like that kind of weird, crazy quirkiness for sure. She has like a mischievous smile a lot of the time. It's pretty funny, but it's got lots of good supporting characters when they hang out, like the place where she works and all the little subplots going on. I mean, it's just a wonderful little collection of feel good moments where she's, you know, playing pranks on people, but also trying to help other people. Again, I don't want to give things away for people who haven't seen the movie, but it's just such a feel good movie. I love the world so much. I want to live in that world. It is so fun. You know, a lot of my favorite romances are more downers. They have more heartbreak and conflict. This isn't like that. You know, she has her moments where she's feeling sad and things, but it all works out in the end. And I don't know. It's just a great movie. I was lucky I got to see it in theater. You know, did have a limited theatrical release in North America. Mm-hmm. I went in not really knowing anything, and it was great. 2001 is like the best year for movies as far as I'm concerned. It's so top loaded. So this is yet another like classic from 2001. But yeah, I mean, does anybody else see the movie? Any thoughts?
No, I love Amelie.
I have actually seen this. Oh, you've seen it, Dan. Go ahead.
It had a fairly wide release too, from what I remember. It more so than you would expect at that
right.
time.
So this is Junot, right? Jean-Pierre Junot, who had his own thing, and his movies have a very good thing. But he also, people don't know, somehow he directed Alien Resurrection. So, yeah. So, in fact, a couple of the actors he used in Alien Resurrection are also in Amelie. He had like sort of a stable of character actors he went back to. There's no Ron Perlman in this one, but that's okay. No. Ron Perlman got to be in City of Lost Children, if you want a French movie with Ron Perlman. But Yeah. Anyway, sorry. But
Yeah,
John
no,
Pierre, as you know, really good director.
Yeah. I kind of like Alien Resurrection. It just felt so different. Just had
I
that.
mean, he does put his weird, like, if you know that director, you do feel his fingerprints on
Yeah.
the movie, even though it's the alien world.
Yeah, no, his films always stand out. Again, not for everybody, but City of Lost Children's amazing, and I like Amelie as well.
I mean, I
Jigsaw,
could see
some good
people
choices.
trying to make the argument that this is a pretentious movie, but I don't really see it that way at all. Like, I think everything in it really works. You know, I think if something is overly pretentious, the whole point is like what they're going for falls flat and doesn't work, and that's why it comes off as pretentious. I think everything here lands really well. It is a quirky, sunny, happy, romantic movie with like little twists. Again, it's not like a conventional love story. But she's just, again, I think she's a classic character in cinema. She's right up there.
Yeah,
and that's, says it all. But just a great atmosphere, the music, the world, the set dressing and set designs, the locations. It's just all very welcoming, I would say. It's like, oh, this is a little place I'd like to hang out in and spend some time in. So, yeah. So that's my first. I guess I have to start naming them so Jess can actually bring them up. Sorry. But anyway,
I surprisingly saw this film. Well, maybe not surprisingly, but it's been a long time. About, I want to say early to mid 2000s, 2004, probably my best guess. My buddy Jerry was out in California, North Hollywood, lived in the same apartment building, big movie buff, which Cole will probably be bringing him up on the next Harry Potter movie. There's a story with him. But
nice.
he had this movie, and he'd recommend movies, but he gave me this movie to watch, and he's like, "Oh, you'll like this," and I do remember enjoying it. I don't remember deep plot details, but I do remember enjoying it. I haven't watched it since.
I mean, I'm almost breaking my rule because like the romance she gets into kind of just shows up like in the third act, and like, the first two parts aren't really about that. I still think it qualifies as a romance, and it just has a romantic atmosphere, as you might expect. And plus, she's playing matchmaker with some of the people around her and stuff like that. So, I mean, even though it takes a little while to get her own personal romantic arc going, there's other romantic elements going on. So, but yeah, what I was trying to do when I was doing these movies was like not just do a movie or a romance that's just happening in the background, but where it's like kind of the main thing. So I'm kind of twisting the rule a little bit with Amelie, but I mean, it does really become about that in the third act and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you're, like I said, Cliff, I haven't seen it in a little while, so I'm sure you knew what you were doing when you brought it up. I'm just saying I couldn't quite remember, but that's cool because it's an awesome movie. Also French. Are we on to the next, Jess? I know I sent you a little fetch quest there, Jess.
For some reason.
The next one that he picked is, fantastic. Sid and Nancy also came up in the chat. Only the Lonely.
That's a bit of a downer.
Yeah, it is.
But I get it. Like I said, some of mine have heartbreak in them, so I get it. That's a little beyond heartbreak, I'd say, but
it goes hard. That is a fantastic movie, though. Let's see here.
Cole, next pick. Is that right?
Yes.
My next pick is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Cool.
If it's up there. I don't know if it is.
It is.
Here's the movie. Yeah, so this is my favorite thing Jim Carrey's ever done. I do like Jim Carrey's. I do like Jim Carrey, a lot of his comedic work, but I think this proves this is a movie that sort of proved he could do this. And I know the Bridge movie was
Truman Show,
which we called the Truman Show. That's sort of his Bridge movie where he's doing some comedy but doing some drama. But anyway, I really like the two characters, and this is what makes it. They feel very real. They feel very three-dimensional. Yes, it has a crazy, weird sci-fi plot going on, but it is a great idea, too, because I think we've all had some sort of heartbreak, pain in our lives, romantic, and it crosses your mind. If I could wipe it away, forget all of it, like it never happened, like, would I do that? And coming to terms and balancing it out, how that would affect you, and would it be worth it? And it's just a really interesting concept. In the movie, actually, his memories are, when they're being erased, are running in reverse, which is cool too. So you see the course of the relationship. And I mean, it really is a great movie for Jim Carrey because there is some weird comedic stuff that goes on in there, like his memories of being a kid, where it's like an adult Jim Carrey in pajamas as himself as an adult, but there's like kids in his memories, and like one of them's like twisting his arm when they're picking on him. Like, it takes somebody with like his sort of physical comedy to make that work and not look stupid as hell, you know. But yeah, like this movie was, I don't know how it's regarded now. Again, this is another one that Jay and I did a show on not too long ago. It was huge when it happened. It was a critical darling.
Yeah.
People loved it. I feel like it's faded from people's memory. It's not really as well regarded anymore. And this is also the movie that made me like, what's her name? Kate Winslet. I didn't give a shit about Kate Winslet before this movie. And she was like cast against type. They both kind of were. He's cast as sort of a neurotic, ordinary everyman, not a crazy guy, not a, extreme character like his comedic roles. And she had always done like, the traditional, she had sort of the very traditional British actress upbringing. It's like, okay, you're in this period piece, you're in that period piece. Now you get to show the world in Titanic, But she's against type here. She's playing like an American kind of manic pixie dream girl, emo girl type character. And I think it's really great acting. It's just a really interesting, because it gets into the nitty gritty of a relationship, which most romantic comedies or romantic movies don't do. They just give you the broad strokes, the big romantic moments, the big painful moments, but you don't get much in between. This movie shows some of that and explains. Plus, it has a really great supporting cast with Elijah Wood and Kirsten Dunst. What's his name? Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Okay, there it is. I thought I blipped out.
It really probably is the best movie he ever made. It comes up a lot, even on like sci-fi lists. This and Her are at like the top of a lot of sci-fi lists.
What's funny is I really don't like Her, right? You would think if I liked this, I would like Her. Her is what I do find, I'll just say, pretentious. I think Her is very pretentious. Yeah. Also, at the time, I was suffering fatigue from Scarlett Johansson, and I was super annoyed that she was in the movie. I was like, couldn't you gotten anybody else? Like, she have to be everywhere. Like, at the time, I just felt like, but anyway. But this is good, because this is two movies. This is like two actors who are in different places in their career that you never would have thought to throw together.
I wish Jim Carrey could have just kind of kept on this path. I think it's just everybody.
It's wild.
Yeah,
it's definitely a wild path. I mean, for both him and Elijah.
Oh, Elijah did some amazing stuff after Lord of the Rings. Like even Kate Winslet, like it's the movies of hers that nobody's heard of that are so good. But I mean, he's Titanic.
Elijah Wood's character is cool too. Like you don't like him and he's underhanded, but it's an interesting idea. Again, like where else are you going to see this? This idea of that he can steal away a girl and make her fall for him by using, memories he's basically observed and stolen. Like it's so cool, like that concept. And you see how he tries to make it work, and it works in some places, and in others it doesn't. I mean, that moment with them out on the lake is a very romantic moment. I'm not a big romance guy, but I more so than others. That is a really nice romantic moment where they're both sort of lying together on the frozen lake. Something I have literally done. Not everybody gets to do that, but I got to do that also with a partner at the time. We weren't copying the movie, I swear. It was just do it on the lake.
I remember.
But yeah, I think it's one of the best movies of the 21st century. It and Emily, these are really strong picks for me. These are favorite movies. They're not just romantic movies. These are like among my favorite movies ever. They're right up there. So yeah, love it. Did you see it, Orc? Or is Orc here? I bored Orc and he left. Okay.
No, something else happened. Some douche showed up in the chat. No further comments.
You're not romantic, Orc. You're not romantic at all.
I've not seen this movie yet. I know I should. Favorite Jim Carrey movie, probably The Truman Show, for me.
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, The Truman Show is almost like a bridge to this movie, because it's like him starting to pull away from just straight comedic stuff and throwing some drama in there. He's not really being funny, but he still does some low-key funny stuff, I guess. Like I said, only he could really pull off some of those like really quirky dream sequences. It's also like, I remember been so long. I watched like the special features on this. There's this whole thing about like how like the bed in the memory, they turned it into like a car. And there's parts like during the shooting of the movie where Jim Carrey has like a steering wheel and he's literally driving this bed as a car around. He even took it out in the highway, which I think is just funny. It's not in the movie, but it's a pretty funny thing to imagine and see Jim Carrey literally driving like this big bed around.
Yeah, it kind of felt like he gave up at a certain point. I feel like he did the other Dumb and Dumber movie that none of us probably really wanted at that point, and I would have liked to have seen him make more Eternal Sunshines.
Yeah, it's a little surprising he didn't, considering how disillusioned he was with like Hollywood in general. You know, he's often spoken out against how terrible it is and how it chews you up and spits you out and all that stuff that we already kind of know. Like he's just come out and like said it in a whole bunch of places.
But the last thing I heard from him is I did the new Sonic movie because I just needed money. So I don't know. That's where he's at.
Well, yeah, because he'd been against the idea of sequels. Like he never wanted to redo anything, and then they basically like, you know, Pet Detective was so huge, like you have to do it, and he did, and of course it's an awful movie, and he's like, no more fucking sequels. But of course he eventually did eventually go against it again, probably for money reasons. But yeah, we spent too long on this one. I'm sorry. But I just mean, it feels like a very real relationship, and I just love the concept, this idea. Like, what would you do? Would you just, like, that was on the poster, used to be, would you erase me? It's like, this person caused you so much pain. Should you just wipe them out, even if you're wiping out the good memories too? Like, I don't know. I just think that's a very personal thing that we can all reflect on.
Yeah.
So in that lead up, actually, I realized that these are on my movies, so I'm supposed to be giving Jess. Jess, you're the new Jay. You're all the same to me. This one I'll talk less. I can't spell. Hold on. I don't know how to spell.
The spelling doesn't need to be perfect, as long as I can. Okay.
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure on the year. Usually, I know the year exactly. Like this movie is 2004, but this one I'm not 100% on the year. And then you don't want to work with the wrong, because you know lots of movies titles get repeated, right? So you need the year to nail it down if you're going to get the right poster. This is my third.
2010 sound right? Based on an 87 novel.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. So here's the novel. This is Norwegian Wood. The novel, like you said, was written in 1987 by Japanese novelist Haruki Murakami, who's a big, really famous world-renowned author. But what's interesting about him is, like, this is really different from all his other books. This is, I think, his first full novel, and it was a huge success, made him an overnight success. But in the years since, he's been a very good novelist. But his novels are weird. Like, they are out there weird shit. This isn't like that. This is just an ordinary story about real people in the real world. Basically just about a young guy at university who falls in love with a girl. And this one, I don't want to do spoilers, so I will say very little. It's just the idea of falling in love with someone who almost has like 1 foot, I don't want to say out the door or out of reality, but like you can't fully reach them. Yeah, isn't that a beautiful
Is that
poster?
right? Okay.
Yeah, I've got the same thing. Beautiful poster. But yeah, it's interesting. He falls for this girl and she's not 100% with him. It's very, you know, there's not, without saying everything that happens, it's very difficult. But it's, and I'll say this is not a happy one. You know, some heavy stuff goes down, and it is all I'll say. But it's a great novel, and it's a very good adaptation. 2010. Okay, that was like 2006. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I was going to say it's not been too long. Well, I guess it has been, but
like, I don't know if any of his other movies would get adapted because they're too weird to be adapted. But this is like basically a straightforward story happening in some semblance of reality. I don't think it's a bummer. It's definitely heartbreaking in spots. But again, there's a lot of depth. I really like the actors, although I can't remember their names, unfortunately. It's been a few years since I watched it because it is emotional. But it reminds me of some things about relationships at that time in my life too, like early college years. Not, of course, as dramatic exactly, not as perfect. But again, it does remind me of little moments and things like that. But I do think you don't necessarily have to relate directly to it to like it, because it is a very engaging story with good characters and very nice music.
Yeah.
So we can move on from that. I guess I don't think anybody else has seen it, but I would totally recommend it.
Yeah, I do too. I
Nice
saw
movie.
it in 2010, probably.
Oh,
And you're right; it's hard to adapt that author. So
Oh, you
that
saw it? Okay,
yeah,
of course you saw it.
mostly yeah, because I hadn't
so-
read the book. I've only seen the movie, so I can't speak to the book. But yeah,
Yeah, I've read the book more recently than watching the movie. So
Mhm.
I feel like if I start to describe the movie, I might accidentally throw in some details from the book that aren't in the movie. Because, I mean, obviously, like any adaptation, it does cut a few things out. But really, it's a very smooth adaptation, because I'm usually very hard on adaptations. No, it's very smooth. I can't remember. I think it's a Japanese movie. I believe it has it has is that a Korean or Vietnamese director? The director is Tran On Hung, so not who also wrote the screenplay. So I don't think it's a Japanese director, although it's a Japanese movie. Also, this movie's cinematography is just a feast for the eyes too. Back when somebody had brought up the cinematography in some of the autumn seasons in When Harry Met Sally, I put this movie in the same sort of category. Just beautiful locations and
yeah, it's like
wonderful framing of scenes.
yeah,
stuff.
late
It's great.
60s, and we see that portrayed a lot in movies, but
Yeah,
not
I probably
over
should have said
there
that.
much.
Right. Well, like, the 60s is a big decade for everybody around the world, but mostly we see what's happening here. But, big in Japan, too, with all the things going on. Obviously, Norwegian Wood is the Beatles song, in case you're wondering. It's not just a coincidence. And because it's the girl in it that he falls in love with, it's her favorite song. She plays it all the time. And that's like a top 5 Beatles song for me. So, again, another thing that I just like about it. But, yeah. I'll have to watch it again soon now that I'm talking about it. It's just one of those movies that I'm just like, I'm not in the right emotional space to watch it again. But it's not like super heartbreaking. But I mean, it definitely has some heavy stuff. But really great.
Orc,
Yeah,
do you have
Jess.
some Norwegian Wood? Be honest.
what was that?
All the time, Vicky Vet.
There you go.
Yeah.
I lit the fire.
Sorry, Jess. I just had to make the boner.
I like how when people would ask like John Lennon, like, what does that mean? People are like, when you say I lit the fire, what does that mean? And John's like, it means I burned the fucking house down. I know that, like, people are like looking for symbolism and like stuff like that. That's not mine.
No. Okay. This is disregard. Okay. Hold on.
Yeah, I was a little confused because I saw what you wrote in the chat, and I was like, wait. No. If you type in the title and the year, that helps.
I got it.
Okay.
I got it.
I know there's some movies
Sorry.
that don't want to. They'll make you run through 1,000 things.
It did for a second. Hold on. I'm
Yeah.
100% sure I got it now.
Yeah, it's always a bit of a delay for me. You guys see it before I do. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so Secret. So it's a Taiwanese film. So unlike the other ones I just mentioned, which are all just like amazing movies, this is not an amazing movie. Like, I don't think this is like one of the best movies or anything like that. It's just a movie I like. And if you're going to talk about a romance, it's a romance I like. So I'm not trying to sell this one. This is not like an amazing piece of cinema that you have to rush out and watch, but it is a nice, pleasant movie. I'm sure at least you guys know Jay Chu. You've seen him in things.
The
He had a
shitty
brief
Green Hornet movie.
yeah. That, most likely
mo-
that.
I
right?
like
in
that
in the
movie.
shitty green Hornet movie. That was his crossover.
Yeah.
He was the Kato character in that with Seth Rogen.
Unfortunately,
It's
yeah.
great as
And
Kato.
unfortunate because it didn't help him cross over. But anyway, in Taiwan, he was a big pop star. He was a really big pop star, had a great musical career, at a very young age. Like, he's like 21. He's like blown up. He's got like albums and stuff. But he also, like a lot of Taiwanese and Chinese and people over there, he also did acting too. So this movie he directed and wrote and starred in. But it also shows like some of his other talent, because it's about students at like an elite music academy, And his thing is playing piano, and like it really is Jay Chu playing piano. And my God, as somebody who grew up playing piano and still plays as an adult, sometimes it makes me want to shoot myself because these people are so talented and they're so fucking good. And there's a scene in it where like it's like they have like one of those like ultra competitive. You've seen it in other movies set at musical schools or places where it's like, let's have a battle, right? There's a whole scene where it's like he's a new guy, so like this is not involving the teachers. It's just like there's a bunch of students in a back room. It's like, show us your skills, and he has to do a bunch of stuff on the piano, and then they bring up some other ringer. And it's like, oh yeah, we'll top this, and they're doing like crazy piano stuff. It's kind of over the top and silly,
Wait.
but it's
Cole,
also
you have to say you want to shoot
amazing.
yourself in Minecraft. Say in Minecraft.
In Minecraft? What?
That's
Shoot
to get
myself in
away with
Minecraft.
YouTube rules.
Yeah.
My son would
Or-
appreciate that.
Or
Oh, I wasn't saying that I wanted to. Well, what is that? Unalive myself. But anyway, this is not like a super great story. And anyway, when he's at the school, he meets this mysterious girl that he falls in love with, and the whole thing is called Secret because she says she has a secret and she can't tell him. And the reveal is not like amazing or anything. Again, this is not like the other movies. The other movies I mentioned, I think, are great films. This is not a great film, but I don't think it's a piece of fluff either. It is a fun, pleasant movie. I also just really fell in love with that actress. I was kind of obsessed with her, probably, but anyway, because she was so gorgeous. But that's all I'll say. Like this is more of like this is kind of a cliched type love story. Like the other movies, I think are great cinema. This isn't great cinema, but it is solid if you wanted like maybe some young romance or some music, or you're a fan of Jay Chu or something like that. It's a nice movie. So yeah, it's not gonna blow your mind. Again, I have some ties to it, like watching it with my Chinese girlfriend, for instance, stuff like that, so it has like a little place there, but it is a good movie. But yeah, I'm not trying to say it's a great, amazing piece of cinema like the other movies I mentioned, which I think are truly great films. But this one, it's just an enjoyable movie if you're going to talk about like a romance. I like it.
Are you aware Gui Lun Mei, the actress, she just starred with Luke Evans in Weekend in Taipei. Just kind of came out not long ago.
I totally lost track of her.
Yeah, she's still around.
Cool,
Luke Besson produced action movie. It just came to Blu-ray, so yeah. If you want to check her out in something new, she's still active.
So Gui Lun Mei, she'd be she's my age. Yeah, she's a few months younger than me. So we're the same age. So she's she's not old, but yeah. She's just so enchanting. She's so beautiful in that movie. Is really the main thing. Like Jay Chu's character, he's just sort of a blank slate, right? Besides his, talent for piano, he could just sort of be any schmuck that shows up. It's all about being enchanted by this mysterious girl with a secret, and I fall into it. But I'm not trying to convince people it's a great movie. It's fine, but if it is a good, solid piece of a nice romantic story, and yeah. So that's 4, right? So I got one left.
Yep, you got one more.
Okay, Orc mentioned Studio Ghibli, so I might as well do one of those.
Educate me, Cole. Educate me.
This is one of the most personal movies in my entire world, so I don't know what to say about it. Because this is a movie that, like, I relate to harder than most movies.
1995?
Yeah. So there you go. This is sort of like down period, an in-between period for Studio Ghibli. This is a more quiet movie. I don't believe Miyazaki was the director. I think what's funny is Miyazaki just made another movie, and he's ancient. But even in the mid '90s, they were looking at him and Isao Takahata, and they were saying, "Okay, so that's an awful poster, which is really unfortunate. That gets thrown around a lot. Here's what a more proper cover looks like." The Blu-ray here. So there's one, and here's a steel book. That, because the thing is, okay, does anybody remember that? Or at least remember, you don't have to have seen the movie, but like that it exists. That Studio Ghibli also had a movie called The Cat Returns.
It's not my area of expertise, but it has been like on a list.
Okay, so so shortly after this movie, they did there's another one of the lesser Studio Ghibli movies called The Cat Returns. And the cat you see in that picture there is a big character in it. What's confusing about this, and I think it's even if you read the back, it's like really misleading. Because like, okay, The Cat Returns is like a fantasy story, right? It's about a girl that follows this cat into a world of like talking cats, and he's this cat. He's called the Baron. He's really suave and has like a British accent. Blah blah blah. And they go on an adventure. Right. That's The Cat Returns. It's fine. I'd say it's one of the lesser movies. His origin is in this movie, but as a fictional character. So that's our main character there, who in the English dub that Disney did years later. And by the way, I was talking about he speaks with a British accent. Who could it be except for who we mentioned right at the start of the show, Cary Elwes, right? So Cary Elwes is the Baron. But he's less important here because he's just a fictional character she makes. She's an aspiring writer. So that's me again. So she's 14. She's in middle school. And she wants to be a writer. And eventually, but she has all these confidence issues and blah, blah, blah. And eventually what she does is she creates the character, the Baron, which is not really important. The poster makes it seem like, oh, I go on a wild adventure with this character. There's no fantasy in this movie. This is not one of Ghibli's fantasy movies. It's just a real world movie. And it's just about her having confidence issues and wanting to be a writer and not knowing where she fits in the world. And then she meets this boy who's really good at violin, and his family are like violin makers, and they start to fall in love. And he's kind of a lot like her. He has like confidence issues and blah, blah, blah. There's also this whole thing in the background that's not too important where she's like part of like the school committee. I can't remember it's been a long time since I've seen it because it's an emotional one for me, but something like they have to do some sort of school song project. So they take the American song, Take Me Home Country Roads, and the idea is to try to translate that into Japanese lyrics. The problem is the straight translation just won't work. Like it, as often happens. So they're trying to come up with appropriate words that will make sense, but like actually like honor the song. So that's kind of running in the background. But anyway, so I don't know. My favorite romance is about like teenagers, but I don't know. It's just a very sweet movie. I can't believe I'm blanking now because I'm nervous. I can't even remember her name, which is funny because the character she plays, the main character, she's like the character in all of cinema I probably relate to the most. She reminds me so much of myself. So I adore her. So I feel like, yeah. So there's a lot of Studio Ghibli movies. They're all really cool and great. This one stands out because it's not like a fantasy. It's just like a real world, suburban story about, some kids at school and some of the stuff they go through. But what's funny is like, I'm going to put on my light just so I can fucking see a couple things. See if this one has the wrong thing on it. I'm the same way, Kory. My eyes are going. I have to hold stuff like at a certain distance, or it's just all blurred. It's just like, What the hell? Yeah, a chance encounter with a mysterious cat sends Shizuku, that's her name, Shizuku, a quiet schoolgirl, on a quest for her true talent. Yeah, that's okay. But there used to be like an older DVD that made it sound like she encountered this magical cat that she went on adventures with, and that's not true at all. He's a magical cat, a fictional one that she created as a writer. But yeah, on the old DVDs, they made it seem like, oh, she's going to go on a magical adventure. Like, no, there's no magical adventure. Just an ordinary real world thing. She just creates that. There's a couple sequences where she imagines him and you see him, but she, they don't. And I think maybe he does talk to her, which maybe ties it into Amelie, because Amelie, remember, has like imaginary friends talking to her. Mm-hmm. So there's that kind of tie-in too. But anyway, it's a super charming movie. And it's one of the more lesser known of the Ghiblis. And I think I got cut off. But even in the mid-90s, Miyazaki and Takahata were seen as getting old. So the whole point was we need to like get a new generation going. So this was one of those movies. The first one was in 91. It was called, which also could have applied here. It's called Only Yesterday, which was actually a made-for-TV film in Japan. But you can get it. But anyway, I recommend if you like whimsical things and you like animation, obviously Ghibli is the ultimate. It kicks the shit out of everything else, but this is my favorite, which I think most people, because I'll talk to like people who like anime and stuff, and they're like, "Oh, Studio Ghibli, yeah, like what's your favorite?" And I'm like, Spirited Away and Whisper of the Heart. And a lot of people don't even know Whisper of the Heart exists, Yeah. But it's really great. It's a really charming movie. So I'm glad I got to talk about it. So of the 5 movies I did, I think they're all amazing movies except for Secret. Secret's fine. Like, it's a good movie, but I would just like to get across that I think the other 4 are amazing must-see movies, especially if you haven't seen them or looking for something different or something romantic. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. It was cool that you guys were doing a show about this, because I mean, I watch a lot of genres and I like romance too. I don't have anything against romance, so it's good to reach out and do something different. So I'm glad I got to talk about this.
Again, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that, and I'm sorry I didn't even think you would appreciate the romance genre. Hell, most of us. I really
Yeah.
just.
I always have, like things like I mean, there's various movies of it, but I think the best version is the BBC, miniseries like Pride and Prejudice. I like that a lot, you know. So I mean, it's a very good romance. I know it's a chick movie or a chick book, but I've never felt constrained by those sorts of things. I don't know. I confuse people because I like a lot of stuff. Because yeah, I'll read Pride and Prejudice, but I'll watch UFC. Like I get it. Like a lot of people like me don't exist. But I'm complicated. I'm complicated. Damn it! I've got layers.
Yeah.
There's levels to this.
That's why we love you.
We're not all just horror people. We've got a little bit of everything. The softer side of us on this episode.
For sure.
We're talking romance.
Talking romance. That's all we're gonna do from this moment forward. I don't want to hear anything about some Halloween. Who gives a shit about Michael Myers? It's just
And I'll do two quick just honorable mentions that I won't get into. One is if you want a Jackie Chan movie that's a romance, there's Gorgeous with the beautiful Shu-Chi, which is really more about her than him. So it has some fight scenes, including with the late great Brad Allen, who is an amazing. He died a couple of years ago. He's only 46, an Australian martial artist. His fingerprints are all over like Hollywood. If you saw any like action movies in the 2010s, he was probably fight choreographer. He did like the Kingsman movies and Scott Pilgrim, all sorts of stuff. He usually wasn't like have like on-screen roles. In Gorgeous, he does. He fights Jackie a couple times. It's also different from most Jackie movies in that the bad guys aren't actually trying to kill him. Like when he fights Brad Allen, it's like set up matches. They're just a match. They're just trying to have like a fair fight, more or less. But anyway, Shu-Chi, who is just fucking gorgeous. And you want to talk about being bummed out by seeing actresses. She's in the American movie The Transporter. With what's his name?
Jason Statham.
And I can't watch that movie because I feel sick seeing him touch her. Like, I get it. That's like not healthy. That's like, what are you? Are you obsessed with her? But I cannot watch Jason Statham put his hands on her. It makes me want to vomit. But anyway, this movie's a few years before that. She's quite young. She's very young in it. But so it's kind of weird that she's like Jackie's well into his 40s and she's like maybe 20. But we see that in all sorts of movies anyway. But anyway, that's a fun movie. It's a different sort of movie for Jackie in that he's not the star. She is the star. And it's about. And another funny thing about it is that Andy Lau, a big, huge superstar, basically China's Harrison Ford, right? Andy Lau's in it as a supporting role. This movie came out in '99. Andy Lau, he plays a supporting role as like this gay guy. And watching it now is pretty funny because like it's not like homophobic or anything, but it is sort of like where cinema was at the time, particularly China, because it's like, here's Andy Lau. He's like the leading man, like the most amazing, like sexy guy. Isn't it hilarious that he's playing a gay guy? Like that's kind of the whole thing. It's like he's gay, but it's Andy Lau. Isn't that weird? That's like Bruce Willis playing a gay guy. They kind of play it up like that. But there you go. So there's Brad Allen with the boxing gloves on. I don't know what he died of, maybe some sort of cancer, but very sad. He had kids and everything, but he was a super, super talented martial artist. So if you want to see his like actual on-screen work and not just stunts. But anyway, yeah. With the lovely Shu-Chi. So that's a good shout out if you want romance with like high-flying martial arts stuff.
Love on Delivery is another, if you want to mix martial.
Oh, that's got
Stephen Chow.
That's a Stephen Chow one. Yeah, I've seen that. That has a really weird plot. Like I've seen it several times, and I still don't even really remember what happens in it. Is that the one where he does lawyer stuff?
Yeah, it's
lawyer stuff, right?
It's a wacky movie. It's 94-ish, maybe.
Yes, yeah. Stephen Chow movies are amazing, but it's very difficult to like follow what the hell's actually going on in them. At least if you're like not like a native like Cantonese speaker. Yeah, it's like something gets lost in translation in most of his movies, but that's okay because they're still so entertaining.
He's like a delivery boy, and it's very wacky. But yeah, you might want to. Yeah, it may not be for you, but
And one more Asian one I'll give. I don't have anything for it. It's just one that I found completely random. It's a Korean movie from a few years ago. It's a romantic comedy. So I thought I might as well do a romantic comedy. It's called What You Wearing? And it's really weird. It's about this guy. He's like this struggling musician and he sucks. And, you know, it's like most people. It's like he really wants to make his dream happen. But people are like, it's not going to happen, man. You suck. Blah, blah, blah. And there's this just weird coincidence that this girl, she's in a relationship with this guy. And he's always complaining because he like wants to have phone sex with her. And she doesn't know how. And she doesn't know how to do it. So she calls up one of her friends. And her friend's like, it's not that hard. Like, you don't even have to really be into it. Like, he's going to like ask you to like, she's like, she wants us like masturbate together. Like, he's on the phone masturbating, me masturbating. She's like, you don't really have to do it. You can just like fake it. Like Meg Ryan, you know, right? So she tries to call him up to do that. And I don't know how she gets the number wrong, but she accidentally calls the musician. So the musician has no idea who the hell this woman is, but she just goes right into it, right? She's like talking about what she's wearing and how she's touching herself. And in true sort of like good girl fashion, she's not really doing anything, but he gets into it and starts like jerking off and stuff. And it's about how they eventually meet and there's other relationships going on. It's a pretty stupid movie, but it's funny, I thought. And it's more raunchy than you might expect. Like there's more stuff going on in the movie than even just that masturbation stuff. And in the end, he like sings a song about loving her panties or something when she's about to like marry some other guy. Yeah. So I just thought that's a quirky one. It's called What You Wearing. It's a Korean movie from a few years ago. So yeah, so there's my romantic comedy. Just because I thought it was something different. So there we go.
I don't think I've actually watched What You Wearing.
It's worth a watch. It's no classic or anything, but it's amusing, especially considering I just sort of randomly found it, maybe on Tubi even. It might have been Tubi. You take a look there, and I was just like, "Well, might as well," you know. And I mean, it has such sort of like I don't want to say graphic because you don't see anything, but still, you know, it's like masturbation going on. It's like, oh, I wasn't expecting this. So I don't know. There's other Asian sex comedies, of course, but this one kind of struck a chord with me. It's not great or anything, but yeah.
All right.
Well, thank you. I'm glad I got to talk about those movies.
Well, we're glad you were here to talk about them. Jess, are you still with us or did you pass out?
I'm on my way.
Yes, it's coming.
You want to go around?
Jess, what cereal are you eating?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
None tonight, but I do have no cereal tonight. But I do have all.
You muted yourself before you finished, Jess.
Okay. I didn't know what happened. I thought it just flipped out
Crunch.
again. Nice. I miss cereal. It's too hard to chew.
All right. I'm assuming you were asking if I wanted to go around the room here.
Yes, I
on
think
the screen.
I think I heard that much.
All right. So, Orc, you got anything you're planning? I seen you were doing your NFL picks. Now that that's over with, you jump into baseball or?
Might jump to baseball, hockey, and basketball, but we're gonna see. You know, don't have YouTube TV at the moment, so just kind of, you know, saving some money. You know, yeah, get McDonald's. You know how it is.
Give it to the evil corporations, Orc.
Yeah.
One way or the other.
That is true, Dan. That's where it all ends up. But yeah, no, not too much. Check out everybody else's content on here. Flesh Wound Features, Cold Talks Comics, and of course the Horror Rumble, or the Rumble as you'd like to call it.
It's both, Orc. It's the Rumble is just any genre. The Horror Rumble is strictly horror. So, but we do both. So this month it's just the
Romance Rumble. Romance Rumble.
Well, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Anytime, bud.
Thank you so much, Orc. I can't thank you enough, man. All you guys are great.
Dan, what do you got coming up?
Flesh Wound Features, and we've got we do have our regular horror show, which is going to be Tuesday, but this week we have the 2 Oscar shows, including the watch party. So we've watched like 100 movies for this, so please watch. And everything. Tomorrow I'm going to the live action. Tomorrow I believe is live action shorts. The next day is live animated shorts. So that kind of is finishes off my Oscar watches. So,
All right. Cole?
Let me think. Well, the movie discussion Pocket Dimension's been on hiatus for a bit, but I assume a comeback will happen sometime. I'll just have to keep you posted on that. So Jay and I have to figure that out amongst ourselves. But the show's not dead. We've gone through this sort of thing before. We will be back. My channel, I don't know. I was thinking about doing a response video to something Orc did, actually. I don't know if I'll do that or not. I usually don't even make videos on my channel half the time, but we'll see. I still do weird, random live commentaries. But also for something good, Jess and I will be resuming the Harry Potter series next week. So we are up to the third movie. We are at Prisoner of Azkaban. So Jess and I will be doing that on my channel. We'll give people proper heads up, but that'll be probably Friday. But yeah, we'll remind some people on Twitter and stuff like that. So that is the next cool thing coming up.
Those are great watches. Definitely check them out.
All right.
Thank you.
And of
Yeah,
course-
they're fun times. Looking forward to it. Well, we
And
got.
of course, you got
I got all the.
me and Jess here.
I got all the links below, in the description. Yeah, we got. I think we gave it away. Horror Rumble next month with. I think the Psycho franchise. I'll have to double check. Things could change.
okay.
And Kory,
There should be
Finish
a new
everybody
episode
off.
of. Say what?
I said finish everybody off.
There you go.
I'm getting
Or
tired.
beat you to the punch.
He did.
Fine.
And edging. All this romance got me hot.
Real quick. There should be a new episode of Corey's Dead Time Gory's coming out sometime this week. I'm not sure, but keep a lookout for that. So, I guess until next month. See you guys later.
Later. Go watch Shuki's other stuff.